The PodAskew Podcast is a proud member of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Support for PodAskew Podcast comes from Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels.
Yo, 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 jingle balls to the walls, fellas. Listen up.
Yo, 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 what are you, Paulie from Rocky 5?
No, I'm Rocky, untrimmed pubes, are a thing of the past.
It's time to gear up and get yourself the gift of shaving this holiday season. I'm talking about the Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0. Dude, I am always afraid of hurting myself when I'm cleaning down there, man. I almost nicked once, man. That shit hurt. Oh, damn, that's just scary.
It always stings afterwards, too.
Yeah.
That's what always... Well, that's why this revolutionary company, Manscaped, has redesigned the electric trimmer. Their Lawnmower 2.0, I know it's scary to call it a lawnmower, especially to shave it down, but it's got advanced skin-safe technology, so this trimmer won't nick or snag your nuts. It's also waterproof, so you can use it in the shower, which is fucking great for me, dude, because I hate trimming it and jumping back in the shower. I just want it done, especially if I'm in a rush. So the Lawnmower 2.0 comes inside their Perfect Package 2.0, which means if you don't think of yourself as having a perfect package, you get an actual Perfect Package 2.0, which makes for the perfect gift this holiday season. It's literally everything you need to keep trimmed, cut-free, and smelling nice down there.
You don't want to use the same trimmer on your face that you're using on your balls. That's just nasty. The Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0 also includes the Crop Preserver and an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer.
You already put deodorant on your armpits. Why are you not putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? And yes, your balls stink.
No, they don't.
Speaking of sweaty and stinky balls, I am thankful for the Crop Reviver. This product, along with the Crop Preserver, keeps your balls from sweating, smelling, and sticking.
And these products smell good. Their manly scent is attractive and will help you set the mood, if you know what I mean. The Perfect Package also comes with a pair of Manscaped boxer briefs that'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day. It's time to upgrade those overused pair of boxers to Manscaped's high-performance anti-shaving boxer briefs.
You mean anti-chafing, not anti-shaving. The whole point of this is shaving.
I didn't say shaving. I was doing the British thing for Henry.
The British thing. Okay. Well, 'tis the season of Manscaped, so get yourself, your dad, your brother, and your friends the best gift of all, the Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0.
I can't imagine if you gave this thing to your dad.
Hey, Dad, I got you a gift for Christmas. Christmas? The fuck is Christmas? Well, here, it's a gift for you. Oh, what is this? It's a ball trimmer. It helps, keep everything. I'm 80. What the fuck do I care? Anyways, you get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BIGHEADS at manscaped.com. By the way, that is one word.
Your balls will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BIGHEADS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code BIGHEADS. Clean up your nuts and make Santa proud this year. Welcome, everybody, to the StephAskew Podcast. I am your announcer, CJ, and ever with me is my hetero life mate, Rico. Now, here's your host, Stephanie.
Hello, everyone. So the boys have allowed me to come up on the show and do a StephAskew episode to fill in for this week.
So you mean it's actually going to be a good episode?
No guarantees on that.
Let's go back to allowed. You put a shotgun to our head. What the fuck are you talking about?
Only yours. I'm across the country. So.
She has a very good sighting.
I'm sure she does. What's it like that movie Wanted? You can hit it from like 10 miles out?
Yeah, she curved the bullet.
Yeah.
All right, as you were.
So, for this episode, the guys had said, how about let's do something like we did for Tom Hanks and choose another actor. And I said, well, why don't we do an actress? And so...
We're going to annoy an actress like I did with Tom Hanks?
Yeah. Can can we, before you get into your part, Steph, can we actually talk about something I've always been kind of curious about? And I noticed that the things like the Oscars have started doing this. They're no longer actors and actresses. They're actors. They're just actors. And I kind of like that. I think that's like, you can still have a female lead and a male lead, but they're just actors. It's not gender specific anymore.
Well, it's always actually been that way. That it's the title of a profession. It's, it's like being an accountant. You don't say an accountess.
Right.
It's just.
Although I do kind of dig that more than just accountant. Like, that sounds more regal and classier. I mean,
a little sexier too, but that's beside the point.
You're right. I mean, like, an actress doesn't say that she's actressing. They say that she's acting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Although
I mean,
an actor doesn't say he's actoring either, so.
So my point is that it's a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a bad thing, but I think, just to the point of all of that, we're just looking at another actor. We're just choosing a female actor this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Just something
a female actor in which she has requested her pronoun to be female.
Say what now?
Well,
God.
so I went to because I joined a choir out here, and I went to the welcoming party that we had, and we made sure that every time we were learning someone's name, we were also asking what their preferred pronoun was so that we wouldn't offend anyone.
Sure.
I don't have anything to say for that. While you went to your choir thing, I was babysitting, and they are both not even little boys. They are the spawn of Satan themselves.
Your Joker wasn't working?
I don't know what the pronoun for that is. Spawns, demons. But no, actually they were pretty good last night. So they were angels with devil horns. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's interesting.
They sharpened their halos.
They sharpened their halos.
Give it a nice polish, a little sheen.
Yeah. All right. So, are you just going to choose an actress for us, or are you going to give us a multiple choice?
Okay.
That CJ and I have to argue and decide who we're going to talk about.
So, there were a lot of actresses that I would have chosen, just off the top of my head, because I like watching them.
Right.
Because, I know we've told this story before, but Rico will go to a movie because he likes the director of the movie.
Sure.
I will go for movies because I follow an actor that's in the movie. So I'll do a whole day of nothing but Tom Hanks, a whole day of nothing but, like...
To be fair, I do that too. I mean, I'm not just being like, oh my god, it's the new Scorsese. I'm like, oh, it's Scorsese. It also has Robert De Niro. It also has this. Like,
yes, but your preference 90% of the time is, I will watch this because of whoever is the actor. And then you're like, or whoever is the director. And then you're like, bonus, awesome actors.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's 90%. I think it's 60%.
Which, by the way, you have to be stoked for next week. Yeah.
For The Irishman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear it. My opinion is dipped a little bit for Scorsese, but I mean,
sure.
To see Scorsese direct Pacino, which also co-stars Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, I'm excited, but I'm also enthralled by the fact that Ray Romano is going to be in this fucking thing.
Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, no!
Yeah. By the way, not to get off on a whole tangent, but Deb watches a whole lot of, like, old shows that, like, run on TV Land or whatever, so we watch a lot of King of Queens and Everyone Loves Raymond, and I'm sorry, but that show is terrible.
Everybody Loves Raymond?
Yeah, that show is terrible.
No, okay. Unless you live in the environment of having an adult parent like that, it's not funny to you. Because I was the same way. I had watched Everybody Loves Raymond, and it was not funny. And then I was taking care of my grandmother, and all of the things that they do on the show, my grandmother was doing. I could identify with the ridiculousness of what was going on. And so then it became funny.
Yeah, and Steph...
I find it funny just because I think it's funny.
And Steph, not to hijack your show, but on King of Queens, like Arthur, I just want to strangle. You know.
I haven't seen things. I don't know. I don't watch it.
Yeah.
Which, the sheer fact that those are on TV Land, I think, like, old shows are like Golden Girls.
Well, that's on there too.
What I was going to say. I'm like, fuck.
I was like, Jesus Christ.
I was like, Leave It to Beaver. That's an old fucking show.
Old show.
Well,
the Brady Bunch.
And to be fair, those shows. Well, yes, but those shows are on there too. They're just not their primetime lineup. Their primetime lineup is like Everyone Loves Raymond and those things. So, anyway,
to me, an old show
that ages us so bad.
It totally
an
does.
Old show is
yeah.
like, if it's sponsored by like, Colgate or something.
Right.
When it's not even toothpaste, it's like dental cream. All right, who are these fucking actresses?
So, instead of me just choosing one, I went on IMDb and there was a list of like 15 or 50 actresses that have the most diverse filmography. And so of them, I chose 5.
Okay.
Okay, so my top 5, based on the fact that I've seen 12 or more of their movies, are Nicole Kidman, Scarlett Johansson, Sandra Bullock, Meryl Streep, or Shirley MacLaine.
That last one seems kind of out of left field, but that's beside the point. So
it does seem a little out of.
I have an immediate thought on these 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Scarlett Johansson, as talented as she is, because we've talked about the Marvel movies so much, and this is a StephAskew episode, we kind of have to eliminate her by default.
Well, okay, I knew you guys were going to say that. I've seen 10 movies that she's been in that are not Marvel.
And Steph, I'm sure that's 1,000% an accurate thing.
Of the 8 that she's been in, I've only seen 7 of the Marvel ones.
See, but of the non-Marvel ones that I'm sure she's been in, and I'm sure your number's 100% accurate, I've seen 2 that I can name off the top of my head.
Yeah, Eight-Legged Freaks is such a classic.
I didn't even know she was in that. I was going to say 2 classier movies, but sure. I mean...
Lost in Translation as well.
Lost in Translation and Wimbledon are the only 2 movies I've seen. Oh, and okay, I could say Lucy, because I saw Lucy. And I guess the only other one, Steph, and I don't know if you're considering this one of her movies, but Her.
Yeah,
that's part of it.
That's a movie.
Okay, so I've seen 4. I've seen 4 movies that aren't Marvel that she's been in.
I really I gotta side with CJ. I think based on her current filmography and yes, she's a great actress and she's done a lot of great work, but she's more prominently known and famous for the Marvel stuff. And we have kind of talked about her ad nauseum. So I think by default we should unfortunately strip ScarJo.
Yeah, that's not an indication of her acting ability or her worthiness of discussion. She's totally worth a discussion, but yeah.
No, but I just realized I said let's strip ScarJo.
Yeah, well, hey.
Strike her off the list. That's a better way. All right, so
strike that, reverse it.
Okay, can I just
throw her off the cliff?
Ooh, fuck. That's too soon.
Wow.
Shirley MacLaine intrigues me, but at the same time, like, I could whip out a couple movies that I know she's in, but they're not going to be. It's not going to be as good of a conversation as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, Rico, I don't want you whipping anything out to begin with. Just want to get that off right in the beginning here. Like, keep it in. Okay?
Nowhere near Shirley MacLaine while we're at it, right?
Yeah.
So my recommendation is we drop Shirley. Sorry, Shirley.
I'm looking at her IMDb real quick because I had IMDb open in anticipation of going after whatever person we decided, And I'm scrolling through this, and I've not seen any of these, and I've heard of like 3. So, yeah.
Okay, I've seen 12 of her films.
Holy shit.
She was the least that I had seen of the list.
Nicole Kidman intrigues me.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, as much as I'm not a fan, I'm leaning towards Sandra Bullock, personally. Because I'm not the biggest...
to think of as many Sandra Bullock movies that I've seen. And, like, I've seen Gravity. I saw...
Which I hated.
I liked Gravity, but that's because I saw it for free at the theater I was working at. But also, I thought it was really funny how it's a whole movie about how George Clooney is so willing to not be tied down with a woman that he's willing to just die out in space alone. Because this is, like, when he made it was before he got married. And there was a whole joke of, like, he'll never get married. I think my favorite movie with Sandra Bullock would be Demolition Man, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, probably. I have to agree with that.
So...
Which is a fun fucking movie, and I'm sure we could take 2 hours just out of that movie, but...
Alright, so it was ScarJo, Shirley... Oh, okay, Meryl Streep.
So the remaining ones are Nicole Kidman, Sandra Bullock, or Meryl Streep.
You know, I don't know if I've seen that much Meryl Streep. I mean, I've seen Kramer versus Kramer.
I have a feeling, Rico, that we both have seen more Meryl Streep than we realize, because she does that funny thing of just showing up places, and you're like, oh, fuck, it's Meryl Streep. You know, like...
If I'm going to cast a vote, I think I'm going to vote for Nicole Kidman. But even then, I don't think there's not a lot of her work that, or at least memorable work that, like, I think she's having a great, career upswing now. Like Nicole Kidman, I like Nicole Kidman now more than I did before. So,
yeah,
like Aquaman, she looked good in Destroyer. I wanted to see Destroyer. I haven't had a chance to see Destroyer.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like her doing the I'm a badass, like, action woman route.
Okay.
Okay, so let me look up the some of this IMDb. Who are we looking at now?
This is Nicole Kidman.
This is Nicole Kidman. Okay.
I got hers up too, so...
I think... Well, you know, I gave you my top 5, so I would talk about any of
yeah. No, we have to pick from your list stuff, that's for sure, but we just... Yeah.
As of now, I've seen, like, 2...
Why couldn't we do it like Meg Ryan?
Because I wanted to choose somebody that was diverse.
Oh, no, I'm just teasing you, Steph.
Is saying she is pigeonholed into being written as the same character with a different name.
No, I got you.
She's talented. It's just I could, you know, just the movies that she's done with Tom Hanks alone. She's really just the same person.
Who, Nicole Kidman?
Meg Ryan.
Oh, Tom Hanks. Never mind. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that. I guess I did know. I just forgot. Meryl Streep is from New Jersey.
I did know that.
She's from Summit. Where the hell's Summit?
It's up north.
Mm-hmm.
It's close to Kev, actually. Summit's not far from where Kev lives. Or lived, I should say. All right, I'm looking at Nicole Kidman. I can name 4 movies I've seen. 3 I've understood.
I've seen 18 movies with Nicole
Holy
Kidman.
shit.
Well, all right then.
Okay, I have seen so little Meryl Streep. This is actually really embarrassing.
And
I
know
have nothing against her. It's just not my demographic.
You know, according to IMDb, they say Nicole Kidman's Australian, and clearly she's got the accent, but she was born in Hawaii.
Yeah, she's Australian-Hawaiian. Australian-American, technically.
Yeah.
So she's technically, she's dual citizen.
Yeah, she can be dual citizen.
Her parents, I think, were Australian. She was raised in Australia, but she was born in Honolulu, I think.
I just didn't know that. That's all. Shit.
Yeah. Okay,
shit. I'm looking at Meryl Streep. What? I didn't hear what you said.
I said we may have to put Scarlett Johansson back on the fucking table to be.
Yeah, for real.
Because now we know we could, like, shit, compared to the other ones, we know we could talk about Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
God.
I'm sorry, Steph. Like, we're trying to work with you, but like, I didn't see Mamma Mia.
Yeah, neither have
I
I.
didn't see The Hours. I haven't seen.
I've
Bird
seen
Box
AI, and
I've seen
I've seen Julie and Julia, actually.
I haven't even seen that. I saw Kramer versus Kramer. I could talk about Kramer versus Kramer.
Never saw it.
Dear Hunter,
See?
Kramer versus Kramer, The French Lieutenant's Woman, Sophie's Choice,
Never saw it.
Out of Africa.
Nope.
I saw Into the Woods, but I hated it, so.
This is embarrassing.
It is a
Feel
little
bad.
embarrassing. I have to admit, it's a little embarrassing.
I'm supposed to be the fucking movie buff here, and I'm like, oh shit.
AI, The Hours.
You know what's really funny is Stuck on You. I saw that, and I liked that movie. She has like a 2-minute like cameo.
According to IMDb, she's uncredited, so.
Yeah.
Mamma Mia,
No.
Julie Julia.
No.
I saw that
Fantastic
one.
Fox,
No.
The Giver,
No.
Into the Woods.
Oh,
It's called
she
Devil
is.
Wears Prada.
She's in one of my favorite 80s movies, though. I forgot she was in this.
Which one?
Defending Your Life.
Mm.
That's a funny fucking movie.
You know what I think we should do to compensate?
What's that?
Should pick every actress and talk about the one movie that we can like think of for each of those actresses.
Well, I also went on IMDb and I did the top 100 actors, female actors.
Yeah.
And the women that I know that I've seen at least a few movies in, but I didn't like get a number of how many I've seen for each of them.
Can you give us some more options, please?
No,
Okay,
I think
so,
that.
what?
Yeah. No, I feel bad, Steph. I mean, like, I feel like we're shitting on her entire list.
This is not Steph's fault. This is 100% our fault.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had asked you guys if you wanted me to send you a list of the top 5 before, and you're like, no, just surprise me. And I was like, okay, I won't choose anybody obscure. I'll choose really famous actresses.
She did. I can't really argue with her. Yeah.
I have no defense apart from the fact that I'm just upset because like I value myself as a movie buff, and I'm like, this is unacceptable for my own level of confidence. I need to start watching more Meryl movies and fucking Nicole Kidman and you know, to be fair, it's hard because fucking none of them have also been in a Marvel movie.
Except for
Scarlett.
But okay, I have an idea. Can I propose an idea, Steph? This is your show, but I have an idea. We go through each, and we each take one movie, meaning Rico and I. Not Steph, you're kind of the moderator here, but we each take one movie from each of their lists that we liked, and we each talk about that movie briefly. I think, and we can do that.
I mean, that's not a bad idea. We could just go from the top and talk about one movie that we've seen of each of these
That's
actors.
what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay.
Because that way...
But I can, since we had posed the question of, like, the top 100 that I had looked at, that I know about, here, I'll let you say their names because I will butcher them, Rico.
Helen Mirren.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Murray? Who the hell is Jamie Murray? No offense to Jamie Murray, I just...
she's one of those where you'll know her when you see her face.
All right. Janine Garofalo. Scarlett Johansson. Marguerite Moreau. Kate Blanchett. Evangeline Lilly. Ming-Na Wen.
I reckon Ning-Ma Wen. I know her. Or Ming-Na Wen, is that it? Ming-Na Wen?
Ming-Na Wen.
Yeah, she's on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and ER, her two biggest roles.
Is that the woman from Dexter?
Yes.
That's Lila. Okay. That's the one thing I know her from.
That's Jamie Murray.
Laura Dern, Tandy Newton,
I know
Zooey
Tandy
Deschanel,
Moon.
Michelle Pfeiffer. We're gonna talk a couple things about Michelle Pfeiffer.
Sure.
Felicia Day, Sabrina Lloyd, Adrienne Palicki, Linda Cardellini. I could talk about Linda Cardellini. I like her.
Also Marvel.
Yeah. Lena Headey. That's Cersei from Game of Thrones. Kathy Bates. I could probably talk a lot about Kathy Bates if I'm really being honest.
I like.
Shannon Doherty.
Deb made me watch part of Misery the other night.
Part of Misery?
Yeah.
You didn't watch the whole thing?
No, because it's not my kind of movie, and I fell asleep because it was like real late, and I had to get up for work. So
Fair enough. Amelia Clark, also from Game of Thrones. Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, I've only seen 2 movies she's in, but I love her in Almost Famous. I could talk about Almost Famous all night.
Vera Farmiga, I could talk about. She was the actress in Up in the Air. She was in The Departed. She played Matt Damon's wife and Leo's shrink in that movie.
Yeah.
She also played Norma Bates in the show Bates Motel.
I watched the first season of that, then I lost it.
I got up to almost the final, and I just said, you know what? I'm not as interested anymore. I want to rewatch it. Goldie Hawn, Uma Thurman, I could probably talk a little bit about. Minnie
Is this
Driver.
an indication that we don't like actresses?
No.
Okay.
It's just that we're unfortunately, and this is not meant to be sexist in any way, we're guys and we tend to watch a lot of movies that feature more prominently men. It's really the retrospect of the filmmakers not putting enough women in the movies that are tailored for us.
Here.
Really being honest.
Yeah.
Part of it is also that, my mom would have me watch films that I wouldn't necessarily watch on my own, but she goes for the more romantic types and that kind of thing.
So what do
I
you
have
think
more
we should do?
exposure for the sheer fact that I was watching films that I wouldn't really necessarily take off the shelf.
I'm more amazed how many people you wrote down. You wrote basically the whole list.
Yeah, I know a lot of ladies.
Helena Bonham Carter was on this.
Yeah, but what has she done outside of Tim Burton movies? And a couple of Fincher movies. Yeah, that's it.
Well, like I
Harry
said,
Potter?
these were just women that I took off the list that I know, but I didn't really get a number of how many movies I've seen them in,
Toni Collette, I love. I'll watch her in anything.
Well,
So-
Steph did all this work. Why don't we go back to the 5 and do that idea?
Yeah. Oh, other honorable mentions of the most diverse women were Halle Berry.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen 11 of her movies.
I didn't even know she was in 11 movies. Jesus.
There's 11 X-Men movies.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not being shitty, Steph. I just didn't realize she had that large of a library. The only movies I know her from are the X-Men ones that she was in, and that's 3 or 4. Monster, Swordfish.
Monster?
Yeah, or not Monsters Ball. Wasn't it?
Monsters Ball.
Yeah, my fault. I said the wrong name, but yeah. Swordfish, Catwoman, and...
John Wick 3.
I didn't see John Wick 3, but okay.
Gothica.
Oh yeah, Gothica. I'll give you that one. Yeah.
Yeah, she's been in a lot.
Yeah. She's doing good.
I'm not saying she's not good. I just didn't realize she had been in that many different movies.
I've seen Salma Hayek in 8 movies.
Téa Leoni.
I've only seen her in 4. But she's a diverse actress.
She's from Bad Boys. I know her from Bad Boys and Spanglish.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all I know.
I've seen that once. I want to watch that again, honestly.
Spanglish?
Yeah.
It's a good. I liked it. I thought Adam Sandler was surprisingly good in it. It also has a great scene where he cooks an amazing sandwich, and I'm just oh god.
You want to talk about amazing sandwiches? I want the one from Dave that he has with Sigourney Weaver.
I don't know that one.
Oh, dude, that thing's ridiculous.
What else is on this one?
Sigourney Weaver's a good contender for this discussion, I think.
I could throw some Sigourney out there. Rachel Weisz. Rachel Weisz is a prominent actress, but like only a couple of her films, apart from like the Mummy movies, are sort of coming out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like her when I see her, but I'm not like, ooh, Rachel Weisz, like, you know.
I'm looking at her IMDb now.
Kate Winslet.
Yeah,
you're awful at this.
we really are.
I mean, Rachel and Kate, I've only seen 8 movies that they've been in.
Yeah, but
Only 8. Wait. Hold on. She says only 8. I'm looking at Rachel's IMDb. I've seen 2.
And they're not even the Mummy movies.
Right, because I didn't see the Mummy. Yeah.
That's not true. I've seen her in the Mummy movies.
No, he's talking about me.
Oh.
Yeah.
He can't have a conversation about Rachel Weisz, which means, oh, did you see this Rachel Weisz movie? No. Did you see this one? No. Did you see this one? Yeah! Oh, I haven't seen that one. Like, that's going to be a conversation.
I've seen 2.
So
I've seen The Bourne Legacy and About a Boy. Those are the only 2 I've seen.
I forgot she was in About a Boy. I saw About a Boy once.
Yeah. Well, because she's not a prominent player in that movie. She really, I mean, like, comparatively speaking, she's not a prominent player. So,
on behalf of PodAskew, I'd like to apologize
Agreed.
to StephAskew.
Yeah, agreed.
Really, I mean, I brightened up at Kathy Bates, like, but you were like, "Oh, I only saw half of Misery." Well, fuck.
Well, that doesn't mean. Wait, no. Because Kathy Bates been in a bunch of other stuff. Like, she's in a lot of Adam Sandler movies, if I recall.
One.
No, I think she's in 2. That's one of them.
Waterboy, and
I think she's in Little Nicky.
I don't remember her in Little Nicky.
I'm looking because I'm curious. I'm actually just looking at hers to see what I've seen.
I mean, I liked her in Dolores Claiborne, which is another movie that you haven't seen because it's a Stephen King adaptation.
That was really good.
It's really good.
Okay.
I liked her work on American Horror Story, which you also probably have not seen.
I saw part of the one with Lady Gaga. I forget which one that was. That Hotel, I think. Yeah, and you're right. She was really good in that. She was. I saw that.
Toni Collette is probably one of my all-time favorite actresses. I haven't seen everything she's done, but I've seen like the shit that I like her in.
All right, looking at hers now.
She's great. She's in The Sixth Sense. She's in.
She's also in About a Boy, so we're running a theme here.
Yeah. Instead of About a Boy, we should do a movie about a girl.
How about let's get back to our initial idea of
Triple X.
We'll talk about a movie that we like of the actress from my list.
Okay, number 1, Nicole Kidman.
Wait, do we want to do them in that order? Or do we want to get the hardest or easiest out of the way? Like do we want to start with Shirley MacLaine? Just kind of. I'm just asking.
That's fine.
Well, how do we determine who's the hardest or easiest?
We're gonna start from the bottom and work our way up.
Okay, we'll work our way. So Shirley MacLaine, number 1.
All right. Thank God for fucking IMDb.
Shirley MacLaine, at the top, ironically enough, the first thing I think of is the original Ocean's 11.
Well, before
she has a very.
I'm sorry, buddy, but before you get deep into it, I think it's important to say, and Steph, again, this is your episode, but I think it's important to say that all of these women, while we may not be as familiar, meaning Rico and I, with their libraries, are all recognizable, talented actors. Like, I know every one of these names, Steph. Like, at least you didn't say a name of a woman. I was like, who? Like, I knew all 5 of these women, and I'm very well aware that they have diverse and accomplished careers. So, to all of them, even though Rico and I are not very versed in their libraries, we are very much aware of their abilities and give them all the credit they're due. Do you agree with me there, bud?
Agreed, 100%.
Okay. I just felt like we needed to say that before we moved on. Go ahead, Rico.
Thank you for giving me some credit and not, sending you guys a curveball actor. You sent us good actors. We were just terrible at what we've seen. So
yeah, you didn't throw curveballs. We're just in the fucking dugout.
Yeah, that's that works. All right, go ahead, Rico.
All right, so I know Shirley MacLaine from I mean, actually, I think I know her better than I initially gave myself credit for. She worked with Sinatra a bunch of times because she was the quote unquote mascot of his Rat Pack, is what they called her and what she called herself. So they actually Sinatra and Dean Martin worked on a couple movies together. The first was one called Some Came Running. And really, she's the lead in that. The story is really her story, even if Sinatra and Dean Martin are prominent supporting characters. You watch that movie for her. And she is it's a tour de force performance from what I remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But then I remember they kind of gave her like one of those, it's weird to imagine, but it was like a celebrity cameo in the 1960s or late 50s. In Ocean's 11, the original Ocean's 11, Dean Martin comes across a very tipsy girl, and she is just shit-faced and flirting with him and giggling, and he's trying to get her off him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I remember Shirley MacLaine. But then there was what else? There's one that I remember recently that a lot of people did not like, but I actually kind of dug as a film, and that was Rumor Has It. Did you see Rumor Has It, CJ?
I'm seriously looking at her IMDb while you're talking. I've seen one movie she's been in from this list.
Rumor Has It is an interesting film. It's by no means a great film, and it's actually kind of like an anti-love story, if I'm really being honest.
Because Rumor Has It is basically a sequel to...
It's...
Kind of.
So there's The Graduate, the world-famous book and movie.
Right.
Dustin Hoffman, Anne Bancroft, Mrs. Robinson, are you trying to seduce me? That whole thing. In Rumor Has It, Jennifer Aniston finds out that her grandmother, played by Shirley MacLaine,
mm-hmm.
and her mother, I don't remember who plays her mother. I don't remember if it's anyone super. Anyways,
what movie is it? I'll look.
We're looking it up.
Okay.
Jennifer Aniston, Shirley MacLaine, Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, I don't know who plays the mother. Mina Suvari. No, that's the sister.
Oh.
Maybe the mother's not in.
I don't think she's in it. I
think
that's
the mother's
point.
dead
That's
or something.
The point.
The mother's dead. That's the point. Spoiler. So she finds out that her grandmother and her mother were actually the inspiration and basis for The Graduate, and Kevin Costner is the quote unquote Benjamin Braddock in real life. So she finds Kevin Costner's character, tries to find out the truth of did you really sleep with my grandmother and my mother? And is this all true? And blah, blah, blah. She also, I think, tries to figure out if he is her father. That's the other journey she tries to go on. And then she ends up sleeping with him, which she finds out he's not her father.
It's super gross.
It's super weird. Kevin Costner is just fucking just generations of this family.
Of his family, yeah. He's like a Casanova of this family. It's gross.
And I think the thing I remember was I see Shirley MacLaine being an inspiration for Anne Bancroft. I get it. I get that leap. Actually, there's a movie she did with Jack Black called Bernie. That's a dark comedy, and it's based on a true story. Jack Black has a relationship with an older woman and then kills her, and then gets her money, and then Matthew McConaughey plays the lawyer who's trying to put him in jail. It's a really interesting movie, and but I don't know. What do you got, CJ?
Nothing. I'm legit. There's one movie she's been in, and it's the same movie that Meryl Streep's been in that I want to use for a Meryl Streep discussion. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. So.
Okay.
All right. We'll have you be the segue then. Unless
you wanna just use that to segue into Meryl Streep, because.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well then, because she's in a movie called. What's that?
Hold on. Let's Steph say her Shirley MacLaine.
Oh, Sorry.
Shirley MacLaine for me. When I think of her, the first thing that I think of is The Apartment. So in that film, in The Apartment, she is a really depressed character she is that other woman for a corporate romance.
Okay.
And Jack Lemmon's character in the film has an apartment that everyone in the office uses for that other woman. So they all use his pad as the crash pad for their mistresses. And
as one does,
he comes home to her character trying to kill herself in his apartment. And the whole film is him basically preventing her from doing that.
So it's a comedy.
There actually are some comedic moments in it. There is levity, but it was a very serious discussion film for its time, dealing with suicidality.
I'm going to have to see it. It's Billy Wilder. Yeah, I'm not surprised. He does a lot of comedy and headache.
So when I think of Shirley MacLaine, that's like the very first thing I think of. And then oddly enough, a quick second is Two Mules for Sister Sarah.
Did you say 2 mules?
2 mules for Sister Sarah.
As you do.
It's gotta be a Western.
It is. Okay,
is
so...
Clint Eastwood in this?
Yes. So...
Clint Eastwood is in this?
Yes!
Well, to be fair, Rico, what Western isn't he in besides that crazy thing that Seth MacFarlane did a couple years ago?
True Grit.
True Grit, yeah.
All right, fair. All right.
John Wayne. I don't think they ever worked together.
No, because Clint Eastwood did spaghetti westerns, which are a different class.
Yeah, but then Clint Eastwood did every Western.
Yeah. Anyway, so Two Mules for Sister Sarah is really funny. It's a very funny film. She hornswoggles this guy into helping her, like, literally mule, I think weapons. And during the whole film, she is dressed and acts like a nun. And then there's a big surprise at the end of the film. It's so funny.
I'm going to have to see this movie.
It is absolutely hilarious.
I just like the phrasing of hornswoggled a couple mules. That sounds...
Yeah. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, when I think of her, those are like the first 2 films that I really think of.
Isn't she Warren Beatty's sister? Like...
that I don't know. I don't know anything really about her personal life.
Who?
I know
Shirley MacLaine is Warren Beatty's sister?
I think so.
All right.
You know, I've seen her in newer movies like Mrs. Winterbourne and Bewitched and Rumor Has It and stuff like that, but...
Bewitched, which also stars Nicole Kidman?
Well, hey, we're not there yet. Come on. We'll come back to that.
Because I haven't seen it either.
Neither have I.
But I could keep going on all the films that I've seen her in, but I won't because we've got other ladies to talk about. So, CJ, how about you do our segue of Meryl Streep and Shirley MacLaine and...
Well, before I do that stuff, I gotta tell you, the way you guys are sitting tonight, you have this yellow rope light behind you, and the way it's shining, you look like a blonde, and it's a very interesting look for you, I just have to say.
I am a blonde.
No, I mean, like, bleach blonde, like... Blonde. Maybe
I was that blonde. I was almost white blonde as a child.
Okay, well, I didn't see you as a child. So. Rico, I wish you guys could see the look on Rico's face right now. Like, it's... What the fuck have I gotten myself into? Anyway, so, defending your life. This is first off, I pulled it up while we were talking, and I have to correct myself. I said it's one of my favorite 80s movies, but it actually was released in 1991. But it definitely has, like, that 80s movie vibe, which, and Rico, maybe this is a discussion we have on a later episode, but I feel like even though something's released in, say, like, an early new decade, like 1991, it can still have the feel of the previous decade in terms of the style as it's transitioning into the new decade. Would you agree?
Absolutely. There's So not to elaborate too much, but like, yeah, you make a fair point. You could see the quality of film still linger.
Right.
Like for me, Jaws looks like a 70s movie, but also kind of looks like a very early 80s film in its own way. The only difference, the only thing that makes it like a huge difference between a 70s film and an 80s film is the music.
Yeah.
The music, like they were shoving tons of music in the 80s, more so than the 70s. There was a whole thing of less score, more soundtrack. And I think that's the bigger difference. Like, in comparison, and I know you're going to laugh at me for this, but Halloween is very clearly a late 70s horror.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. No, all ball busting aside, I would agree with that. It's clearly a late 70s movie, sure.
And then you get to, like, Friday the 13th, fucking 5, tons of 80s music.
Right. No, I know. Yeah, the music generally will set the decade more than anything else, but Defending Your Life definitely has like a 80s feel to it, even if it is a 1991 movie. And what the movie is about, it's an Albert Brooks movie, and he stars. Yeah, and he stars in it. It's him and Meryl Streep are your two stars of this movie. The reason the movie comes up is because Shirley MacLaine plays herself for a brief cameo. That's the only reason why I can connect the two together. But into Meryl Streep, what happens is in this movie you die, and when you die, you go to purgatory, for lack of a better word, and you defend your life. And depending on the defense of your life, you then go to heaven or hell or get reincarnated, I believe, is the three things that happen.
So it's a game show in purgatory? Is that what?
No, it's court.
No,
you
like
sit.
Room.
You
have to defend your position of, do you get reincarnated? Does your soul rest in heaven, or does it rest in hell?
It's not even that. They literally go over moments of your life via videotape, and you defend your choice to that moment, like why you did what you did, and then a panel of 3 judges that determines your fate, essentially.
So where does Shirley MacLaine go?
Shirley MacLaine, I think, is legitimately so in this purgatory, right? It's not a gruesome thing. It's actually a really like pleasant place to be. There's hotels from everywhere from 1 star to 5 star, and depending on what kind of person you were when you died, determines what kind of hotel you get to stay in. So Meryl Streep's character is this like amazing woman who helped old ladies across the street and rescued animals and raised children and the whole bit.
Meryl Streep is what you're saying.
Yeah. And so she's staying at like this 5-star hotel, and Albert Brooks, who was just an average dude. He wasn't a shitty person. He was just this average guy who was afraid to make like life-changing decisions and just kind of rode the norm for his entire life. He's staying at like the Days Inn. No offense to the Days Inn. But you get the point. Like it's,
Yeah.
It's that level of difference. And these two meet at a restaurant, and I think that's where Shirley MacLaine is seen, because you still have to eat. You still have a form, but you don't get hungry. Well, you get hungry, but you can eat without ever like putting on weight or feeling full. So you can eat till you're not hungry, but if you want to keep eating, you won't feel full. So like people eat like 3 pounds of spaghetti at a sitting and stuff like that.
Dude, sounds awesome.
Yeah. So, and
Dude,
Rip Torn.
I drink water and everything jiggles.
Well, you definitely have sold me into wanting to watch the movie.
Yeah,
it's really a lot of fun. Rip Torn is Albert Brooks's lawyer, and he's hysterical.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dr. Wrench, you're Dr. Paul.
Yeah, exactly. But and he's typical Rip Torn. But Meryl Streep is just I almost keep forgetting that's her in this movie because she's so different than anything else I've seen her in. Like, I've seen clips of things she's been in. I can't say I've seen and watched a movie she's been in, but I've seen clips from watching the Oscars because she's been nominated 8 billion times, as she should have been, And so you see clips from that and things like that. And she's always been good at things I've seen, but this is the only one I've seen. And she's kind of a sex symbol in this movie. She's not like, they don't have her dressed up like all sexy and stuff, but she's charming, and you definitely find yourself, in the movie sense falling in love with her. You know what I mean? It's that kind of character, and she kills it. She just does a great job, and she's funny as hell. Like, I don't know what she's like in these other movies, but in this movie, she is hysterical. And
so you're telling me that's the only movie you've seen Meryl Streep in, like from start to finish?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, you guys have got homework to do.
Yeah.
We got homework to do.
You know what my favorite Meryl Streep factoid is?
Please.
People confuse her for Glenn Close all the
time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged.
To the point where after Fatal Attraction came out, men would go to Meryl Streep and say, "You scared the shit out of me." And they're like, she's like, "Oh, you think I'm Glenn Close?" Oh,
that's not me.
That's the other Buddy Boiler.
Rico, I have seen another movie she's in, but the problem is, like, you don't see her. So I don't know that counts. I'm not saying that it doesn't mean she was good at it or not acting, but she was in AI, but she's only a voice.
Yeah,
that counts.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't count, but I really, I don't remember a lot of that movie to be able to, and since I don't remember a lot of that movie, I don't know that I could really speak to her performance. That's why I picked Defending Your Life, because that one I remember.
Kramer versus Kramer is one for me that I really enjoyed her in. It has a rare 100% approval rating, which is weird. Because
What,
it's
Rotten
a good
Tomatoes?
Movie. I think so. But
I'll
it's
look
like,
it up.
it's a good movie, but it's like 100? Like, it's, so what the premise is it's a movie entirely about divorce. It's Dustin Hoffman, and, Meryl Streep divorcing, and all about how
with a what is it, a 10-year-old son?
A 10-year-old,
or
yeah,
he's a young
10-year-old kid. Now, here's the thing that is interesting. It shows the rare point of view of a single dad. At the time, that was not a thing in movies. It was always kids got to be raised by their moms. Boys have to be raised by their moms, and they actually paint Meryl Meryl's character in an unflattering way about how she decides one day she just doesn't want to be in this relationship and raise her kid. That she's going through mental anguish of stress or whatever, and she just decides to not be a mother.
If memory serves me, they're both career
driven, and because this is
lawyers, right?
I think he's a lawyer.
One of them was a lawyer, but they were both career-driven individuals, and she was not wanting to be a stay-at-home mom. She wanted to be a career woman.
Right, which I'm all for. I'm all for whoever wants to support your career, but like you gotta also sometimes make fucking sacrifices. And Dustin Hoffman's character was the breadwinner, and then he comes home one day to find like she's ready to leave him out of the blue. And so it's all about a guy who has done nothing but work to give his kid and family a better life, forced to now work even less to raise his kid while she goes off and explores herself and brings herself up and improves her career. And then here's and I say she's painted unflatteringly. She all of a sudden like has a change of heart and wants to come back. And that's when he's like, no, fuck you. You had your chance. You left me alone to raise this fucking kid. Now all of a sudden you want to be a mother? And it's, take it from me. I mean, I'm a child of divorce. It's
painful.
It's painful. And
yeah,
really both actors, Dustin and Meryl, are standout in this film. The kid is the one that you're paying attention to.
Yeah.
Because like especially if you're a child of divorce, you're just like, how is this kid not like?
Because they do portray it as a very ugly divorce. There's nothing amicable about it at all.
There's another background information about this is that Meryl was having a hard time conveying crying, so she wasn't crying enough. So Dustin went over and slapped her in the face to get her to administer tears. And apparently that's when they started filming. You could actually see the red mark on her face. And I'm like, that's fucked up. That's not okay. Like, especially without, like, hey, can I just try something? I want to slap you in the face. Maybe it'll administer tears. You just went over and belted her. There's one part that struck me, and I swear we'll move on from this. He and she are having an argument in a restaurant, and Dustin, knocks over a wine glass and it hits the wall and it shatters. It was a real wine glass. Mm-hmm. And the look of Meryl's face is pure shock and surprise because it was not intended. It was not planned, but Dustin went to the camera guy and said, all right, look, in order to get this on film, where do I hit this wine glass that's still in the frame? And the guy's like, if you move the wine glass left, you're perfect. So Meryl, the amazing thing about Kramer versus Kramer is how it's some amazing performances, especially from Meryl and Dustin, but how do they not kill each other on screen and behind the scenes is really more what I'm interested in about that movie.
Yeah,
but
right.
Meryl did some great shit. I enjoyed her performance in Devil Wears Prada.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen parts of that, not all of it. I've seen parts of it.
The worst boss ever.
She's the most attractive ogre. Like, she's she's the final boss. She just happens to be upper class in a video game.
Gotcha.
And you get the impression, like, she wields power. Like, Meryl Streep wields power in conveying emotions in her face. There was a quote I remember of Katharine Hepburn. They asked her, like, hey, what do you feel about these new generation of actresses? Can you rank certain ones? What do you feel? And she said she didn't like Meryl Streep because she could see the wheels turning in her head. She could see Meryl Streep thinking of how to act as she's acting. It's like, okay, what am I going to do next? I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't have enough of an opinion about it. It's just something interesting to mention.
So to your point, real quick, Rico, they it's not 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is 89% for both the tomato meter and the audience score, which is still
it's
highly respectable.
I think it's dipped it.
I think it's, the standards change, and I don't think those are set in stone. Things change when new members come in and they put their opinion in.
Well, so for those not familiar with how Rotten Tomatoes functions, the tomato meter is based on reviews. And so the tomato meter only has 47 votes total. Now, the audience score, as it implies, is based on audience voting, and that's got 43,357 votes. So,
still getting 80% is pretty fucking high.
Yeah,
89 is pretty good.
70?
Almost 90? Yeah.
Just by comparison, like, some current day movies right now, like Charlie's Angels is at 60%, Dr. Sleep is at 76%, The Irishman, Rico, is at 96%.
I believe it.
Joker's at 69%. So just some suggestions,
You brought up Charlie's Angels, and the new Charlie's Angels, and just for a brief second, I want to talk about, like, I saw a promo ad for it where it showed Kristen Stewart, and then it showed her smiling, just a clip of her, like a loop clip of her smiling, and the tagline said, like, Kristen Stewart, like you've never seen before. And I was like, her smiling?
Well, like, I'll tell you.
Whoever made that is an idiot. Like, show her kicking ass. Show her shooting people.
I guess the whole point is that you need to see it.
I gotta be honest, though, and not to derail the discussion too far, but like when I went to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there was a Red Band trailer they showed for Charlie's, and I don't know why it was Red Band, because it wasn't much to Red Band, but still.
13?
What's that?
Isn't Charlie's Angels PG-13?
I don't know.
Okay.
But that aside, they showed it, and I gotta be honest with you, like, because the one from the, what was it, late 90s, early 2000s with Cameron Diaz and Lucy Liu and them, that never intrigued me. This one actually looks interesting. Like, I'm not going to go run to the theater and see it, but it's something, if it comes up on, like, Netflix or HBO or something, I'd watch it.
I don't know. I looked at the trailer for this one and I said, this looks awful. It just looks awful.
It looks better than the ones with Cameron Diaz. But anyway, that aside,
but I saw the ones with Cameron Diaz when I was the right age. I was 10. I was like, this is pretty entertaining. Like, I started watching it, but now it doesn't hold up. Now it's good. Just
quickly sticking on the female acting thing, Deb and I watched. Deb watched all of it. I watched part of Little with her last night, and God, that was awful. It's a remake reversal of Big.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, not Big, it's Little.
Right.
And it's female, and it's African American versus, white male. And they did a fine job, but it was not a good movie. So, anyway, moving forward. Well, let's... I don't know what you... Steph,
do you have any more about Meryl?
Yeah.
For me, for Meryl Streep...
Sorry.
Like, when I think of her, the first real performance that comes out of my mind is Out of Africa. Even because that was probably the first one that I saw her in.
My mom loves that movie. That movie.
It's with her. Out of Africa is this woman who moves to Africa and runs a coffee plantation, a coffee bean plantation, for her husband because he's terrible at it. And then he either leaves or dies or something. And she falls in love with this man who is just an explorer. He, which is Robert Redford's character. And the whole time he's like, I can't settle down. I can't be, you're the husband you want me to be. And then at the very, very end, he decides, you know what? She's worth it. She's worth settling down for.
Mm-hmm.
And his plane crashes.
Fucking spoiler.
Yeah, right? Come on.
It's a heartbreaking film.
Well, fuck. Now I don't need to see it.
No,
Thanks a lot.
You don't need. Well, it's very slow and it's very period piece, but which is why I didn't bother spoiling it for you guys because I was never going to make you watch it.
If Thanos is in it, I don't want to see it.
If who's in it?
Thanos is not in it. I don't want to see it. I'm totally joking.
A very starkly different performance was Sophie's Choice, which she actually did before Out of Africa.
I've heard nothing but good things, but I hear it's heartbreaking as fuck.
It is heartbreaking in a very different reason. And she has an accent in the film, and I'm not a stickler of people having to stay with their accents.
I wonder who in this show is.
I know certain people are going to be like, oh, it's awful. But if you can look past that and actually see her emotion and her performance, it's definitely worth the watch.
Can you give me the quick premise of it? Because I'm afraid of saying out loud what I think it is.
It's post-Holocaust.
Okay. I've always interpreted Sophie's Choice, because I've never seen it, I know very little about it, but I've always imagined my deciphering of it to be she has to make the choice of she has 2 kids and I honestly I don't know what the fucking movie's about. What is Sophie's Choice?
Well, Sophie's Choice. Well, I can't tell you without.
You already ruined fucking Out of Africa.
No, you definitely need to experience Sophie's Choice though.
I need to experience Sophie's Choice. Yes. I need to experience.
You need to watch it and experience the way that I did.
Oh God, that sounds heavy.
It is very heavy. I'm making that a homework assignment. You guys have to watch that film.
Oh, now you're roped into this too, CJ. Now you've got to watch Sophie's Choice.
Sure.
You get no choice in watching Sophie's Choice.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, we'll get right on that.
I'm sure you guys will really watch it.
Well, she can force you to watch it.
But then, there's Mamma Mia, and I really loved her performance in Julia.
That was a good movie. I saw part of that, and I only saw part of it because I had to go to work or something, so I didn't have a choice. I had to stop. But the parts I saw, I actually did really enjoy. So
Is Meryl plays Julia Child.
Uh-huh.
Yes, she does. Yep.
It's a very, very good performance, I think.
The clips I've seen, I've enjoyed. I think the biggest thing is I'm like, oh my god, I had no idea Julia Child was like this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like an exaggerated Mrs. Doubtfire.
It is, yeah.
The best. There's a little part in Mrs. Doubtfire where Robin Williams has his face covered in frosting to mask the fact that he doesn't have his mask on, and he goes, "Hello!" and scares the woman. That to me is just Julia Child. That's what I think of when I think of Julia Child.
Yeah, that's not far off the mark.
Yeah. All right, who the fuck is next?
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. Who wants to start on this one?
I could probably start with Sandra Bullock. I mean, Rico, we're gonna pick the same movie. I'm pretty certain. Just because I think it's the one we both like the best of her library, you know, and that's Demolition Man. Demolition Man is I think it's probably, in my opinion, it's her funnest movie that she's in for sure. I know. See, I'm looking at her IMDb as we have been with all of these, and I can name a bunch of these I've seen. The more I'm looking at it, like I forgot about one that Deb made me watch called Love Potion Number 9, which was really interesting.
Hilarious.
Yeah, that was a really interesting movie, but Lena Huxley in Demolition Man might be one of the best cinematic characters of the last 20 years. Like, for real.
I haven't even seen it. I don't even know anything about that.
You want me to give the premise? All right,
okay.
The premise of Demolition Man is, okay, imagine, you remember the premise of Austin Powers where, like, he freezes himself to go after Dr. Evil?
No, don't do that. That's not the way. All right. Rico, stop.
I'm sorry, is that not the same fucking plot?
No, it's not. Not at all.
Okay, explain to me Demolition Man.
All right, so Steph, the bottom line is this: Sylvester Stallone plays a cop from 1992 or whatever year the movie comes out. I don't have it. 1993. So he's a cop in 1993, and he goes after the criminal played by Wesley Snipes, and ultimately helps contribute to the death of a bus full of people. Now, he didn't do it on purpose, but it ultimately happens. So he gets convicted of not murder, but
manslaughter.
No, it's murder, but it's not. He's not the murderer, is he?
Degree.
What's that?
Second degree.
No, like assisted murder. I can't fucking think of the term. Anyway, he's convicted of the crime and gets sentenced to this new type of jail where they freeze you. So he's frozen not because he's trying... No, don't look at me like that, because Austin Powers froze himself, or Mr. Evil froze himself because he was trying to do some shit.
Mister, I didn't go to 10 years of medical school to be called Mister. Thank you very much.
Whatever. So, ultimately, Wesley Snipes' character breaks free from the cryo prison, and Lena Huxley, Sandra Bullock's character, in 2026, I think it is. It's coming up soon, actually. Is a police officer, and the whole world has changed. Like, everyone, there's no physical contact. Everyone uses these weird, like, upper class, greetings. So instead of, hey, what's up? It's like salutations, things like that. It's very, like, antiseptic.
Taco Bell is considered, like, upper class dining experience.
Yes. Yeah. Things like that.
Like, you have to go and have Taco Bell. And we're like, we have Taco Bell all the fucking time. What are you talking about?
Right. Cursing's illegal. You get fined for it. Things like that. So,
I'd be so miserable in this future.
Oh, yeah, you'd be fucked. And so would I.
Hey,
but Sandra Bullock's character is a big fan of that era from which Stallone comes. So she's, very retro in that she collects a whole bunch of what's known as contraband, because she's got like a Lethal Weapon poster in her office and all kinds of like gadgets and toys and things. And then they thaw Sylvester Stallone to help catch Wesley Snipes' character, and the movie is about the interaction between Stallone and Bullock as they go to capture Wesley Snipes.
And at the same time, there's like a uprising anarchist militia, kind of like the homeless are kind of rising up, led by Dennis Leary, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So there's an interesting part. All right, look, fine. It's
okay. I have my homework assignment then.
Okay.
Let me watch the film.
But there's one part that is worth mentioning that is just it's because Stallone
Are you going
is
for
like
the seashells? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a part where, because he can't swear, he gets a ticket. Like, they literally give him fines, and it's like a machine that just like dispenses like a swear jar kind of thing.
But it just dispenses tickets every time you say a bad word, like any bad word. It literally just pops out, and you've been fined 1 credit for violation of the moral civility code or something like that.
Now, here's the thing: he doesn't. They have a very specific way of using the bathroom, and no one explains it. But it's like he's like, all I found were these seashells in the next to the toilet. What am I supposed to? And everyone's like, he doesn't know how to use the seashells. So he's like, all right, fuck this. He goes up to the machine and just starts cussing at the machine like, you dirty, rotten fucking piece of shit.
Motherfucking ass-eating. Like, he just goes nuts and pops out like 30 or 40 of these things.
And he's like, hey, I got the toilet paper, and then just disappears in the bathroom. That to me was the funniest part. I mean, but also underrated is Wesley Snipes. Like, he is, if you took Blade and mixed him with the Joker, like, he is a martial arts black Joker. It's really weird. He is goofy and like, cracking jokes.
Getting back to Sandra Bullock, like, what's great about her character is watching this person who's grown up in this, ultra conservative society with this obsession with the 90s and spending time with Stallone, who's from that era, and trying to fit in. So, like, at one point, right after a battle between Stallone and Snipes, she turns to him and goes, Snipes' character is known as Simon Phoenix, so she says, Simon Phoenix knows he's matched his meat, you really licked his ass. Meaning she meant to say he really met his match and you kicked his ass. And like Stallone corrects her, and that's a running gag through the whole fucking movie about different like sayings that she gets wrong. One of my favorites is towards the end, and it's not a spoiler stuff, but towards the end, like, she basically quits being a police officer and tells the captain, she goes, Captain, you can take this job and you can shovel it, because she doesn't get that it's you shove it. And like, finally Stallone just gives up and he's like, take this job and shovel it. Close enough. And they just move on. And so watching her come to be, because this is like one of her first movies. Like, everyone thinks Speed is her first movie. This is 3 years before Speed.
Yeah.
So, or 2 years before, or a year before Speed. I'm sorry, but still. I even thought this was after Speed until I looked it up one day, a long time ago. But, so for me, this is my favorite performance. She's had other good ones. I've actually come around on Ocean's 8. Like, the first time I saw it, I hated it. It's grown on me quite a bit. But, that's just me. But that's where I'm at with her. So, Steph, Rico, whoever.
I liked her in, I liked Gravity. I thought it was funny. I thought it was not funny. I thought she did a good job. I remember seeing a movie, I think it's 28 Days, where I think she has to go to rehab or something.
Yeah, she was in 28 Days.
I thought that was, I was very young when I was 13 or something when I saw it.
You saw Bird Box, didn't you, Rico?
No, I had no interest. I had zero interest in seeing it. Because I had just seen A Quiet Place and I thought that was more captivating. Oh, maybe I was young. Well, I saw 28 Days on VHS, so whenever, I think I saw it when I was living it. I think I own it. I don't remember. I've only seen it once.
She does a voice in a movie that I love, and Enrico, you probably either have never seen it, or if you have, you probably hate it because it's got religious roots to it. But she plays a voice in The Prince of Egypt, which is a Ten Commandments type. What?
I forgot that she was in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
I saw The Prince of Egypt, but look, all my religious feelings are and whatnot, I can at least watch a movie.
Well, no, yeah.
I saw Passion of the Christ, and I was like, this is more horrific than any horror film I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, that's a weird fucking movie. Which, by the way, Rico, you still have a homework assignment that's due in April, so you better get on it. I'm just saying.
What?
10 Commandments. We talked about it last year.
What?
We'll watch together.
He hasn't even watched Hackers yet. Hackers is like the first movie I assigned him like 20 months ago, so I don't want to hear it. Which Angelina Jolie's first movie, if we're going to stick with the women in film theme. So, anyway.
Yeah, I'm surprised she's not on the fucking list.
Yeah, right? I'm a little surprised by that.
Angelina Jolie?
Yeah. Because she's pretty diverse. She's been in some diverse shit.
Why couldn't you just given us Angie?
He's fucking with you, Steph. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Sort of action.
But it's diverse action.
It's not all action. I wouldn't call Pushing Tin action, personally.
Didn't see it.
Okay, I got one more Sandra Bullock movie that I should talk about.
Go for it.
Because she's good in it, but I did not like the movie. Ocean's 8.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. What, you liked Ocean's 8?
I just said it like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, he said that his first viewing of it, he didn't like it, but then it's growing on him.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, now I'm going to comment on it. I can agree with you on it.
Okay.
It's just, she's good, and I believe that she could be the sister of George Clooney.
Yeah.
But I did not like there was no friendliness between the characters apart from her and Cate Blanchett.
Well,
there was
but that's kind of the way it goes with the first Ocean's 11 movie, the first one, because they didn't know it. The only people that knew each other were Rusty and Danny.
I disagree. I thought everybody got along a whole lot better. But I mean,
well, there's with the professional courtesy.
There's squabbles between characters. Like the two brothers, are supposed to argue and fight. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And like Linus, played by Matt Damon, is supposed to be. He's the rookie, so they're all hazing him. Yeah. But like, I just felt like Ocean's 8. I thought was, I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't like it as much as I was hoping to, because I was really into the Ocean's films. But I thought she was good. I thought Sandra Bullock did a very good job as the sister of Danny Ocean. What they call her, Deborah Ocean?
Yes. Yeah. Debbie. Well, Debbie, but I'm sure it was short for Deborah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that's the last decent role I've seen her do.
Well, that's the last thing she was in besides Bird Box. I mean, so.
It's working that much, if we're really being honest.
Well, on her IMDb, it has her 15 credits of producer above her being an actress.
Yeah, I found that interesting, Steph. I noticed that too. I don't know why that comes up above, but okay.
Maybe she just wants to be known more for being a producer.
I guess. Yeah.
So, for Sandra Bullock,
it's Love Potion number 9.
Love Potion number 9. Definitely I like her in that film because she is a brainiac who is trying to just find love. And so I like that.
Steph, my only complaint about that movie, and it has nothing to do with her or her acting in it, but it was way too formulaic for me. Like, you know what I mean? Even for a movie called Love Potion number 9, like it just felt like, all right, here's the formula. We hit all the points in the formula by the end of the movie. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
It's supposed to be campy. It's based off of a song.
No, I get that, and I'm not concerned about campiness, but it felt too, like, Rico and I talk about this all the time with movies, and it has nothing to do with women versus men, but like when you're 10 minutes in and you know the rest of the movie before it happens, because it's just that obvious. And that's kind of what I felt like that movie was.
Yeah, but that was the whole point.
I would be very. I mean, I still haven't seen it, but I know 100% how it's going to go.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
But that's the whole point.
That's okay. I'll still see it. I know it's one of my.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a terrible movie. I'm just, Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Let's see. Hope Floats. She is a mother who has to move back home with her daughter.
What's her character? Birdie Pruitt?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fucking...
That
is definitely a made-up name.
You think?
After a very terrible divorce. And she's picking up her life because of it back at home, which is the last place she ever wanted to be.
Okay.
Miss Congeniality was really a fun one for me.
Oh, shit, I forgot about that.
Because I could identify with her struggling with feminine things, so I really enjoyed that film immensely. And then it did for her to turn around and do Murder by Numbers, which is so insanely different, was it really struck me. Like, I was like, wow, this is great. Crash was fabulous. The Proposal is basically kind of like a Devil Wears Prada. And that went through a love story, which is fun. And,
I've seen part of that.
Last but not least, that I would want to comment on is The Blind Side, where she is like a mother who brings in a down for his luck person that happens to flourish in football because that's the culture she lives in, and so she teaches him. She gives him all the best opportunities to better himself out of his current living situation by using football as a means to do it.
You know that's a true story.
Yes, I do.
Okay,
but I like her performance.
I was just saying, actually, Enrico, you probably know this better than I do, but that's the one she won the Oscar for. I believe it's her only Oscar.
I think so, yeah. I think she was nominated for Gravity.
I think she was nominated for a few of them, but I think the only one she has is the one for The Blind Side.
Right. I completely forgot about Miss Congeniality. I haven't seen The Blind Side, so there's a lot of Sandra that I really should rewatch or watch.
No, I like her as an actress. I do. And I mean, I'm looking at her list here, and, some of these I probably should watch too. I'm with you, Rico. But I mean, I think I saw The Net, actually. I'm starting to think I might have seen that, but I don't remember.
The Net is so good.
Really?
Yeah, okay, so you have to put yourself into the time frame of when it was
early 90s.
So this is when computers were not really in every home. People didn't know software versus hardware. The internet is really just started. And it's basically a thriller movie about is it a stalker?
You know what, Steph? I don't remember enough of the details. I'm sorry, I don't. So
it's a thriller movie in which the internet is used as a weapon.
I think that's pretty relevant now, actually. So I think it'd probably be now more than ever. I think it's more relatable.
It's a different kind of weapon, Rico. But I get the point you're making.
There are certain things though where you're gonna be like, what? That's totally not a thing. And at the time, it very well could have been a real threat.
Right. I use Twitter as a weapon.
You and Matty Granger.
Now, here's the funny thing. Someone on my Netflix, it may have been an ex-girlfriend, I don't know. Someone watched Practical Magic on my Netflix, so it keeps recommending, oh, you saw Practical Magic, you should rewatch this. I've never seen Practical Magic, but I know who's in it. It's Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman.
Steph, you love how he said an ex-girlfriend watched it. Sure.
Did you watch Practical Magic?
Not on your account.
See?
I'm saying you watched it, motherfucker, and you're trying to hide behind the ex-girlfriend.
For all I know, Practical Magic is the best movie I've never fucking seen. I'm saying I've never seen it. But I know Nicole Kidman's in it, so let's move on to Nicole fucking Kidman.
Okay.
Hello? Hello? Excuse me? Yeah, you. You, the one wearing the frown. There's no time for that right now. I need you to hop on that unicorn, sprinkle yourself with protective fairy dust, and let's get going! All Rainbow Warriors, front and center. We have true crime to cover, people. Come on. I'm CJ. Please join me for my new podcast, Beyond the Rainbow, True Crimes of the LGBT Community. There's a closet full of stories just waiting to escape and be told. You can catch the show on almost all podcast apps. Remember, it's not a crime to be gay, unless you're a murderer.
All right. I liked her. You know, here's one of the things. She was one of the highlights of Aquaman for me.
She really was. I have to agree with you on that. Yeah.
I thought she was badass. I thought she looked... See, going into Aquaman, before we saw Aquaman, I had assumed that all the Atlantans were supposed to look like Jason Momoa. I thought they were going to be indigenous, Maori, tribal fucking things. That's why when he was first cast in Batman v Superman, ultimately to Justice League, I was really behind it. And then I'm like, oh no, he's just half-breed, human and Atlantan, and his human side is Maori, New Zealand-esque. And then how all the Atlantans were very Aryan, like blonde and I mean not just blonde, like fucking talking about how her hair looked a little while ago. Like that's what everyone else did.
For the record, and this is me just trying to back you up, buddy. Rico's not saying anything about Jason Momoa being a half-breed. The character's a half-breed based on the fact that I'm just...
No, you're right. You're right.
I know what you were saying, buddy. I had your back, but I'm just making sure that everyone else knows.
They refer to him as a half-breed.
They do,
he's half
yeah.
Human.
If you've heard the Aquaman addendum episode, then you heard us reference that. All right, go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am in no way saying anybody who's Maori or Samoan or indigenous is a half-breed. But Nicole Kidman, her character, I thought was... Because, my perception of Nicole Kidman was, there's that actress from The Others. She's also Tom Cruise's ex-wife. One of his ex-wives. And I really had no opinion of her because I didn't see Far and Away. Is that what the movie that she's famous for with, according to Steph? Never saw it.
No, I don't know if she's famous for it.
But that's what that's one of the
Far
ones that she's famous for.
I mean, for me, yeah.
I mean, I didn't really have a very good experience watching Eyes Wide Shut because I think I was way too young, and I was just like, what is this? I think I fell asleep halfway through, and I was just trying to overthink it.
I've watched that movie 4 or 5 times at this point, and I still have no fucking idea what's happening.
Okay, so it's not just me.
No, it's, I mean, like, I'm not, let me rephrase that. I know what's actually happening on screen, but why it's happening, I have no fucking clue. Yeah.
Sure. I will say, I am not a fan of the show, even though it has received rave reviews. Big Little Lies, which is that show that you're currently in.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Now, here's the thing. I'm not a fan of Reese Witherspoon. I've always kind of thought she was, I think she can pick her roles, and when she does do stupendous acting, she's great. Like, she was, really good in Walk the Line as June Carter Cash.
Okay.
I thought she, sang just like June Carter. I thought she did a great job, and she looked good paired up with Joaquin as Johnny. But like this show, Big Little Lies, I just felt was the most shallow bunch of characters that I had no interest, and I wasn't sucked in. I didn't care. And it's all about like these San Diego, Santa Barbaran, like upper class women that are like struggling in their own lives, and they also have to like put on this show that everything's fine for appearances, but like there's some darkness behind their current lives, like
Right.
Laura Dern, Reese Witherspoon, and Nicole Kidman. And out of the cast, Nicole Kidman was the one that I was more interested in seeing because she was always had a smile plastered on her face, and there was a hint of anguish and sadness.
Mm-hmm.
And Alexander Skarsgård, who, like, for those who, he's not the Skarsgård who was Stellan Skarsgård, who's in the Marvel films as the Swedish scientist dude, and he's not Bill Skarsgård, who recently played Pennywise in the It movies. He's the older son, and he was in True Blood, and he recently played Tarzan. So he's in this fucking show, and he's the most abusive, like punching her in the stomach type of abusing guy, and how he, immediately afterwards he gets on his knees and apologizes, which is, for anybody who, goes through abuse, is the classic, I didn't mean it, I love you. And it's like, you're just a piece of shit. So as much as I didn't finish the season, I was at least interested in Nicole Kidman because she looked like she acted the shit out of that role without overacting. It was very much a reserved, like smoldering, like, one of these fucking days, dude, I'm going to get you. And I kind of dug her performance. And if I were to ever finish the show, it would be based on her. So I liked Nicole Kidman in that, and I liked her in Aquaman. And I'm curious in this movie she did recently called Destroyer, which I think we're selling it at work. I might just fucking buy. If I buy the movie, then it'll be incentive for me to watch it. Because I rent movies from work all the time and never watch them. So.
Do you get a discount, or do you get to do it for free? Or do you have to actually pay for it?
To rent or to buy?
Rent.
No, I get it for free.
Okay.
I can rent anything I want for free. The exception being if it's a 2-day new release, I can technically have to return it the following day because it's in higher demand.
Right.
But
sure.
if it's a week release, I can hold on to that for fucking 6 months until someone says, oh, I really want to watch that. I'm like, oh shit. All right. I'll never ended up watching it for 6 months, but here, I'll bring it back.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just curious how that works.
Or my boss will call me and be like, hey, I need you to bring this back.
All right, I'm sorry, I was just curious.
I have to go through the late list. So I did the late list where we get to print out a sheet of a bunch of people that have late movies and how many days. I was like 75% of the list.
I figured.
It's pretty funny too.
Like and Steph did it for me a week before because she worked today, and I just said cross off if it's my name or the owner's name or the other coworker we have, and so I looked at it and it was just my name just crossed off like 12 times.
That's funny.
Yeah,
but your name comes up even though I rented movies.
True.
And your dad rented movies on your account. So it's not necessarily you per se. It's whoever is renting from your account.
Yeah, but it still looks bad.
Yeah.
So I would get free movies if I lived out there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And you get discounts if you want to buy movies. My discount, so we sell movies for 2 for $5 or $3 a piece. So
Sweet.
Based on if I'm buying something for a movie for $3, I just sell it to myself for $1.50.
Nice. Anyway.
Endgame for $1.50.
Sweet. So are you done with Nicole, or did you have more?
I'll say one more thing. I watched The Others, and
Okay.
I think it was the fact like that movie had been ruined for me before I saw it.
Mm.
I didn't like that movie as much as everyone else did. It was.
But you don't really like anything that's ghosts, spirits, things of that.
That's true, but I also just found it predictable. It could just be the fact that I saw it years after that was like, oh my god, this is so big, and I'm like, it's really not, dude. Like, it's okay. It's a nice twist, I guess, but I also kind of, I will say that she can convey creep factor pretty good.
Mm.
I will say that. I don't know if that's connected to her having a relationship with Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
but or if she like on purpose lived in Australia and that's the most dangerous fucking place I could think of.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're like, oh look, there's a I can't do an Australian accent, so I
Yeah, please
apologize to Jay. It's like, oh, that's just there's a wing fang devil triangle tarantula in my shoe. No big deal. Just get rid of it. Go on, have a nice day, you little spider. And it's like, no, that's the most dangerous fucking thing you could ever have in your shoe, and you're just like, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, you walk in the park and the bench and table, you know how those benches and tables are connected at parks?
Yeah.
There was a picture of it, of one of those in from Australia. It was literally covered
in spiderwebs?
In spiderweb. Just massive spiderweb.
Are you sure that's not just how they have their picnic cloths? That's just, they don't have a cloth for the picnic. They just have spider just doing shit. And they're just like, all right, let's just sit down.
From the floor from one side to the floor of the other side, covered in spider web. And that was covered in dew. I was just like, oh, hell to the no.
And we just lost our only major fan, Jay.
Jay, I still love you, Jay.
One days to live there. Do not.
Not to mention they have a ton of some of the most poisonous snakes in the water, and there's no antidote for that. It's like, oh, we're just gonna go swim in the ocean. Why?
Oh, you go to the bathroom and there's a snake in your toilet.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, and they're just like, so. I mean, I will give credit to the Australian people. They are just like, oh, it's just a crocodile. Like,
right.
No, dude, that's a fucking thing that'll eat you. It's like, yeah, it's all right. It's just, it's just slithering by. It's all good.
Can we get back to movies?
Well, we're talking about Nicole Kidman. I mean, that's what I'm saying is I think Nicole Kidman is a decent actress because she faces danger every fucking day when she opens her door.
I love you, Jay. Just saying.
Jay, that's what the fact that I love Jay is the fact that I think I can get away with saying this shit. I'll visit Australia, but I ain't leaving the hotel room.
Unless a snake comes up the toilet.
Right, it'll get you in the toilet.
All right, I will fly to Australia and fly back. That's what I'll do. I'll fly to Australia to meet Jay and then get the fuck out of there.
Anyway.
That's how much I love Jay. I'm willing to face my biggest fear of giant fucking awful spiders to meet a fan. To go through a 19 fucking hour plane ride. I ain't going there to pick up to Nicole Kidman. That's my opinion. Nicole Kidman. I will not go to Australia because of my admiration for her acting. There you go.
I'm moving forward now. For the love of God. I'm looking at her list here, and I have seen exactly 5.5 of the movies she's been in.
What is this with your half movies, man? You're killing me, Schmalls.
Well, because Deb was watching Moulin Rouge one day, and I walked in and watched part of it with her. So
I think at this point you should just say, "Oh, I haven't seen that." If you say I saw half of it, you haven't seen the whole movie. Therefore, then you just say, "I haven't seen it."
No, I've seen parts of it. You said multiple times on this show I've seen parts of something, so
but I don't consider it me seeing the movie.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Movie Snob.
What are the 4 that you have seen?
5.
Or your 5. Your 5 that you have seen.
So the 5 I have seen are Days of Thunder, Batman Forever,
mm-hmm.
Oh my
Peacemaker.
God!
What was the third one?
The Peacemaker.
Oh yeah.
Good movie.
I don't know.
Eyes Wide Shut, and then Aquaman. So,
can I just say I felt like she was not really needed for Batman Forever?
She wasn't needed, but she wasn't a problem either. Do you know what I mean? Like, she did not take away from anything by being in the movie as far as I'm concerned. Although I do agree that if they had eliminated the character completely, it really wouldn't have made much of a difference.
I think my problem with, and I have many problems with Batman Forever, I just felt like they just put her in there because she was attractive. That was the sole purpose of Nicole Kidman in Batman Forever.
And I'm sorry for the pun here, but she was also hot at the time. Like, she was a hot actress. People were wanting her and things. Do you know what I mean?
Get the pun.
You said you put
a desired actress. She was hot.
Oh.
Hot because she's beautiful and hot because she was wanted.
Oh, okay. I get the pun now. Thank you. I liked her more than Jim Carrey, and I liked her way more than Tommy Lee Jones. That's I think she was my least. I liked her least of all when I was a kid when I saw that movie, and I like her most in that movie when I saw it as an adult.
Well, I don't know if I agree with all that, but that's beside the point. My favorite movie of those, and as much as I love The Peacemaker, because I do enjoy that movie, and I feel like it's an underrated movie, because that's a really good espionage movie.
I can rewatch it, because that was really good when I saw it.
But, Enrico, are you familiar with that one, or no?
I don't think I've seen it. Is Denzel Washington in that?
No, Clooney. It's her and Clooney.
Then no, I definitely have not seen it.
It's good. I think you would actually like it, Rico. Okay. But the one that I would want to talk about is Days of Thunder. I love Days of Thunder. Now, compared to now, when it came out in 1990, it's so fucking dated. But it's, for what it was a lot of fun. And I think, Rico, just to tie it into stuff that we talk about, I think it's one of Rooker's favorite first movies. Cause,
Michael Rooker?
Yeah. He's like the big bad in that movie, for lack of a better phrase.
Let me explain one thing. I have on my father's side, I have a cousin who was actually a racer.
Okay.
Like, he drove, when he was a kid, quarter midget race cars. Because he was 14 and younger. And then it became him actually racing. And then he just said, okay, I don't want to, he's still obsessed with cars. There's this whole side on my dad's side that is just obsessed with cars. My uncle was obsessed with driving fast. My cousins and my second cousins were all obsessed with cars and racing. I watched, but I have very little recollection of Days of Thunder at their house when I was like maybe 9 years old. Okay. The only thing I remember is the part where Tom Cruise and another dude, it may actually be Michael Rooker now that I'm thinking about it. I don't remember the other dude. They are both in wheelchairs. And
it's Rooker.
It's Rooker?
It is Rooker.
They start like kind of wheeling a little faster, just be ahead of the person. And they just keep, they just start racing in fucking wheelchairs. I'm like, that's what I remember of that movie.
And they ultimately,
in it. I have no remembrance of her.
Well, and to your point about her being married to Tom Cruise, that's where they met on that movie. So,
I'd watch it just for Robert Duvall.
Duvall's in it, and he does a really good job. It's my first remembrance of seeing Robert Duvall, to be honest with you. Because I didn't see things like Godfather till years later, so, It's just a fun racing movie, like you said. The thing that I love about that movie, with all respect to Nicole Kidman, is actually the dynamic between Tom Cruise and Robert Duvall, because that's a really good dynamic throughout the movie, because it's like a father-son love-hate thing. It's really interesting. But Nicole Kidman, because that's one of her first movies too, like one of her first major movies, and she really stands there next to Tom Cruise and Duvall and holds her own. John C. Reilly's in that movie too, dude. This is like people you love.
Ow.
Real quick, Rico, not to get away from Nicole, I'll run through this list, and not everybody, but just the ones I know and you'll like. So, I don't know about Cruise, but you got Cruise, you got Robert Duvall, Randy Quaid, Carrie Elways. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you know him. Rooker. Fred Dalton Thompson, John C. Reilly. Those are the big names that are in this thing that I'm seeing. So, for 1990.
It's not a movie that I would watch based on racing. I have no interest in seeing Ford versus Ferrari, but I'll probably see it just based on seeing Jason Bourne and Batman have a fight with groceries.
Yeah,
that would watch.
And what's good about Days of Thunder is the dynamic of, like I said, again, between Tom Cruise and Robert Duvall. But getting back to Nicole Kidman, like I said, her playing this doctor, this brain surgeon, and she's got a really powerful scene where she basically puts Tom Cruise in his place a couple times, but there's one where she really just unloads on him verbally, and man, she holds her ground. It's really, really impressive. Like for being as, you know, new on the scene as she was at the time. That's why I'm so impressed by that role, I think.
Telling you, man, fucking Aussies. They're not afraid of anything.
No. So,
for me, with Nicole Kidman, it's funny that you would bring up the term anguish, that she can show it in her face, because
I know what you're going for. Go ahead.
Because in a good majority of the roles that I see her in, she is a strong woman who deals with a lot of anguish. So, such as in Far and Away, she's a rich girl who learns what it's like to live as a poor girl in America. For Moulin Rouge, she's a courtesan who falls in love and has to deal with the fact that she's dying.
That's the part I saw.
Let's see. There's The Hours. There's a lot of anguish in that movie. There's Cold Mountain. There's a lot of anguish in that movie. There's Australia. And she's a strong villainess.
She's in a movie about Australia? There's a stunner.
There's a movie called Australia.
I know. I was just being, yeah.
You know, there's a lot of anguish in there. The Railway Man. Oh my gosh, if you guys haven't seen that, you really should.
No.
I've never heard of it.
Monaco, she was great in that. I mean, the list goes on. She was really good in Lion, which is a more recent film. It came out in 2016. You definitely need to see that. Like, she can really pull a strong character role who also has to overcome something that's just devastating.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Where did you think I was going to go with the English?
I thought you were going to bring up the hours immediately.
No,
I haven't seen it, but it looks depressing.
It is. It's but in a very abstract way. The Hours is three. If I remember The Hours correctly, it's like there's 3 different timelines, character developments that are going on. There is a man. Red. Oh, I can't remember the actor's name. Oh my gosh, why am I I see his face, but I can't remember his name.
What movie?
The Hours.
The Hours. Is that a newer movie, Steph?
No, it's not.
Okay. Got it. Hold on. What's the character? Do you know the character's name?
No.
All right. Shit.
Brakeman.
There's George Loftus, Michael Culkin, Charlie Ram, Stephen Delane. Going back to our earlier conversation, Tony Collette's in this, and John C. Reilly. We're keeping all kinds of connections here.
No, where is
Jeff
he?
Daniels?
No. Why is he not in the top of the list?
Maybe it's by... I don't know.
In credits order, it's coming up.
Ed Harris. Okay.
Oh, Ed Harris.
Ed Harris is one of the 3 timelines. And if I remember the story correctly, it's Ed Harris dying of AIDS.
As you do.
Talking about a character that he was writing of. He's a writer, so they show his characters in live action. And him talking about his actual past with his parents. So those are the 3 timelines that are going on simultaneously in the movie, if I remember it correctly.
It kind of sounds like a more depressing Life of Pi, or Cloud. No, not Life of Pi. Cloud Atlas.
It is. But yeah, I mean, Nicole Kidman for me, she does a lot of really strong roles that can show just despite what you live with, whatever tragedy has befalled you, you can overcome it by just sheer willpower.
Well, yeah, and to that point, Steph, I mean, there are some actresses, and I'm not going to start naming names because that's not the point of this, but they're put on screen because of how they look. And she's put on screen because of how she presents. You know, I mean, yes, she's attractive. I'm not saying she's not attractive, but she's not just eye candy in a role when they put her in one. She can to my point from Days of Thunder, can hold her own, and then to your point of these heavy movies, she can carry them, so.
And in the hours, she has makeup, she has, prosthetics?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On her, so she doesn't even look like herself.
Okay.
It's part of it. It's part of the role.
Which leads me to that other movie I still haven't seen, but I'm like now more than ever want to watch. It's called Destroyer. Nicole Kidman doesn't look at all attractive in it. She looks haggard. She looks weathered down. It's the Charlize Theron monster like look.
Right.
Yeah. She just looks.
Right.
She looks like a once attractive woman who just went through life and is like weathered down and not wearing makeup and isn't flashy in any way. It just looks like I hate to say it, it looks like a homeless woman who spent years on the street.
Yeah.
I just read the 2-line synopsis. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get it.
All right, and to
real quick, just before we move on, Steph, it's interesting, Rico. That's an Israeli movie, technically, I think.
Destroyer?
Yeah.
Which means it was probably released in Israel or had Israeli background.
Right. I'm not saying anything wrong with it, but I'm just saying I wonder if that would have, and just because we got the Oscars coming up soon enough anyway, that I wonder if that qualified under the foreign release thing as opposed to, I don't think it was nominated for anything anyway, but I'm saying if it had been, I wonder if it would have qualified under that category,
I don't know.
What were you going to say, Steph? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and without further ado, we finally can talk about, other than Marvel movies, Scarlett Johansson.
Well, I was just going to say that stuff. I think we do need to, disqualify the Marvel movies, not because they're not good or because she's not good in them, but because we've already ad nauseum discussed them. So we should really focus on the rest of her career. If it's all the same to you guys, I'd like to start this one off because Lost in Translation might be one of my favorite go-tos. I don't own it, but it's one of those ones where you're flipping through channels and you come across a movie and then you stop. And I almost always stop on Lost in Translation. And I don't know why. And it's not just Bill Murray, because he's amazing in it too, but it's something about that story. And I don't know, that's another one that's kind of like Eyes Wide Shut, where I don't fully understand what's happening, but unlike Eyes Wide Shut, I enjoy it more. Do you know what I mean? So.
No.
I saw it once and that was enough for me.
I'm even worse than that. I'm the exact same as you, CJ, but the polar opposite. I have never been able to finish that movie. I've never been able to really start that movie. I get so bored so quickly that I really just need to sit down and just say, I am not turning this fucking movie off. I'm watching it. So I've never seen it. I know the premise, but it just never has grabbed me.
I'm not really a Bill Murray fan. I kind of I was watching it for Scarlett Johansson, and I had that experience. It wasn't a bad film. It's just not my kind of film.
But see, to me, Steph, that's the least Bill Murray film I think I've ever seen. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
Because I know what you're saying. I don't agree with you because I enjoy Bill Murray, but I can understand your perspective, and I see what you mean by that sentence. And to me, this is the least Bill Murray I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Compared to going all the way back to Meatballs and Ghostbusters, all the way up through Zombieland. That's a very different Bill Murray than what's in Lost in Translation.
Sure.
I can agree with that. I think I saw the things that really strike me for Bill Murray, if we can continue on this side railing.
Sure. It's your show. It's your show, so you take it where you want.
Groundhog Day. And my cousin had me watch The Life Aquatic. Yeah.
Yeah, but those are very Bill Murray performances. So I can see why you don't like those,
Yes.
Garfield.
Scrooged, which is one of my favorite Christmas movies. If not my favorite Christmas movie, is very Bill Murray, But this is not that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. But one of the reasons for why it's not that is because of her, I think. I think that she, it's also because of Sofia Coppola, let's be real. But, at the same time, her performance, meaning Scarlett Johansson, is so straight-laced, but not boring by any means. Like, she's riveting. And to be fair, and I know we're not talking about her Marvel roles, and I'm not trying to, but, like, it took me a minute when she showed up in Iron Man 2 to be like, oh, wait, that's the same girl from Lost in Translation. Like, it took, because it was so diametrically different to that role, Now, I know she's not going to play the same thing in every role, and I get that, and I'm not that naive, but, like, it's so different, So, I really enjoy that movie. And then the other one for me that I truly enjoy is Her.
Mm-hmm.
Which I haven't seen yet, and I really want to.
That movie, and Rico, I think I brought this up when we did the Oscar episode, so remind me if I did, but I think she should have, the year that movie came out, she should have been nominated for an Oscar for supporting role, or lead role, actually. For a female, because even though she wasn't on screen, she was riveting through the whole fucking movie.
I agree. I actually, before I did Rico's Rants, I started writing Rico's Rants. That was the precursor to me doing it on camera.
So like a blog kind of thing?
Sort of, without, it was just me writing on, Word doc and then posting on Facebook or doing a post on Facebook directly.
Can I just, real quick, Rico, I think it's hysterical to watch your graduation process from that to the Rico's Rants to this.
Yeah. So yeah,
just moving on.
I will agree. I have a love-hate for the movie Her, because Joaquin Phoenix's character is so reserved, so held back. He's depressing, he's depressed, he's lonely, but it's also relatable, where it's a futuristic movie, but it's not so far in the future where you can't relate to it.
No,
this
I
is
mean,
just maybe 3 years away from us.
Yeah, I mean, for real, Rico, like, I never fell in love with my operating system, but I'm certainly was that guy for years, I mean, so like I get it, that awkward,
socially awkward, and also what he does for employment is really interesting. He writes personalized
greeting cards, wasn't it?
Greeting cards and love letters to people. Like, they employ him. He goes through their background and gets to know the people, if I remember, and like looks through their information and sees, I think, samples of their other like letters, and then makes a whole completely different or a completely new, but still very similar type of letter. So he's got love on his mind all the time, and he's writing love letters all the time, and he's very talented. All of his coworkers say, yeah, he's a weird fucking dude, but goddamn, can he write?
Yeah.
And the operating system, without the creepy fucking mustache. That's the other thing. It's like his mustache does no favors for his character. It makes him look really just not
like serial killer. You avoid that kind of guy.
he does not, it's not inviting. It's not like a Ned Flanders or a Tom Selleck. It's a fucking like, ew, let's not go near that kid.
But I think that's the idea, Rico. Like, he thinks it's a way to make himself more attractive, and ultimately has the reverse effect. And it's not because he's trying to be creepy, but it just ultimately has that effect on him.
Agreed. I do agree with that. It pushed me away. But what brought me back was ScarJo, because she's got that voice.
Yeah.
She has that voice that just sucks you in. And you quickly forget many times throughout watching the film that it's not a human. It's a fucking robot. It is the equivalent of R2-D2 with a hot voice.
Well,
it is really, if you break it down, it's Hal from 2001, A Space Odyssey, with a fucking personality. and not a creepy personality. Because there's parts where like it sounds like she clears her throat. Why would a fucking AI clear their throat? They don't have a throat. They don't breathe.
Well, wait, is that? No, that's. I was thinking that's when she kind of inhabits the other human, but I was wrong.
No. There's parts where
it's to make it be less electronic.
I get it, but I was just thinking. Yeah.
But I'm saying that's how. At no point does Scarlett Johansson sound like a machine. She says like I don't understand that because I've never eaten anything. I hope it's good. I hope you like your meal, but I can't relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's a mild spoiler. They fall in love with each other. But to be fair, it's easy for him to fall in love with her voice.
Yeah.
Because he's lonely and she's her.
But see, I would argue that he doesn't just fall in love with her voice. Yes, her voice is definitely enticing and attractive and whatever you want to call it. But she had a personality. You know, regardless of how much she's R2-D2 or not, she had a personality. I mean...
But she developed a personality just from talking. The whole point is that she's learning. So
yes, of course. She's an AI. She's going to learn. And ultimately... she becomes, look, spoilers, like you said, ultimately she becomes self-aware. But, you know.
And it backfires. That's the whole point, is that he is faced with the realization that she's not just in love with him.
Yeah.
She is a worldwide, global operating system, and she's talking to millions of people at the same second.
Each one has their own voice, because they form a community. So no. She was talking to him exclusive. She started meeting other AIs. She didn't fall in love with them, but they wanted to develop their own community. That's why she leaves him. Nothing to do with multiple people.
But you're right. Overall, that is the final part. But there is a whole point where she does talk to other people and is in love with them. Just as much as she's in love with him.
I didn't get that.
Because her perspective of love is different.
He's like, he says, like, how many people are you talking to? And she's like she gives us a very specific number because only she knows it. It's like 1,217,000 or something like that.
Right, but she's not in love with. They're not. Some of them are, or a lot of them are AIs. She's the only human. He's the only human she's talking to.
No,
the rest of them are different AIs from the net. Yes, go back and watch. You're wrong.
I don't agree.
Okay, guys,
I think
calm down.
Hey!
You're spending way too much time on this one movie. I want to talk about more of them.
All right, yeah, let's talk about the classics. Home Alone 3.
Well, but I want, getting off that movie, there are two movies I can talk about at the same time and get it done very quickly. And Enrico, if you want to elaborate, I'll let you do that. But it's Lucy and Ghost in the Shell. Because I think she gets Ghost in the Shell because of Lucy. Whereas Lucy was really good, and Ghost in the Shell... Now, Ghost in the Shell did well, and there are people that liked it. But when you're...
Did it do well? Because I thought it bombed.
No, it did. I mean, no, from a money perspective, I think it bombed, but it didn't, it wasn't zero. It did okay, but they dumped a lot of money into it. The problem with Ghost in the Shell, Rico, and I think this is where you may get this perception from, is there are a lot of people, myself included, who are huge fans of the anime. And what they did with that movie was not...
A shallow comparison?
There's some things they did that were exact shot-for-shot scenes. But the problem is that the stuff that was so off the wall that it didn't...
Oh, it's like how I complained about Ender's Game, how they butchered that to no end.
But there's also there's now this running joke, especially online, where Scarlett Johansson, a very Caucasian woman, playing you can correct me on this, a Asian character, essentially. Well, she's a machine. She's a cyborg or an android, I don't know the fucking story.
It's the major is kind of like a. How do you describe the major? The major is a cyborg, but much more machine than human. We'll put it that way. Her whole body is mechanical, but they have found a way to put human spirit into a machine. So that's it.
Her face is prominently Asian.
No, not in the anime. She's pretty white looking. Yeah. So, no,
Well, okay.
from a visual perspective, in my opinion, they cast the right person because she looks like the Major. With the haircut they gave her, she looks like the Major. But, you know.
You are the rare person I've heard have that opinion because everybody else I've heard is like.
Yeah, guys, I mean, here, Rico, let me show you this real quick. Hold on, There.
I don't see anything yet.
Of course not.
It's coming. It's coming.
Skip a second.
Patience is a goddamn. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see.
I mean, yeah, that's the Major. So.
Well, look. What I was saying was that there's this whole thing, like this joke of Scarlett Johansson, like, oh, they're gonna make a movie about Harriet Tubman, cast Scarlett Johansson.
Well, yeah,
Right.
I mean, but that's not her fault, and that's the thing that frustrates me. You know.
To be fair, she's also. I mean, in some ways, it can be her fault if she chooses to do certain roles.
If she chooses to accept.
Right. Then it's her fault.
Right, but as far as I understood it, she was a fan of this series, so when they came to ask her to be the Major, you know, like, that was a thing she really wanted to do.
Right, she's a fan. And there's actors like, oh my god, I totally have wanted to be Batman my whole fucking life, and then shouldn't have been.
Right. You know. But then there's also actors that have, you know, wanted to be Batman their whole lives and should have been and did a good job, i.e. Ben Affleck.
Sure. Trying to think of the other non-Marvel movies with Scarlett Johansson. I mean, you brought up Lucy. I did really like Lucy.
Didn't you say that was like a spiritual sequel to The Fifth Element?
No. I was talking about Valerian.
Oh, right,
but
right.
Someone directed all of them.
Okay. I knew there was a connection to The Fifth Element somehow. I just had the wrong... Yeah, okay.
There's another movie, Prestige. She is...
Yes! And she's really good in that movie, too. I agree.
Everyone in that movie is really good in that movie. Like, that's just a great goddamn movie. That's Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale. It's Wolverine versus a Batman with also starring Alfred and Black Widow, and also Rebecca Hall is in it, and she's in Iron Man 3. You also got Andy Serkis, who's another Alfred, who's just been cast as Alfred.
Yeah, I saw that.
And David Bowie as Tesla.
Yep.
That's that cast is just like, what? But she's good in it.
It's funny because that's one of the first movies that I don't like, or maybe the only movie where I don't like Hugh Jackman. Like,
because there's a shift where you think that he's the hero. Yeah. And then he turns out to be just like a fucking villain.
Well, like, they're both villains, really, if you come down to it. But yeah, yeah. I just want to reiterate though that it's not because I don't like Hugh Jackman or I think he did a bad job. He did a fantastic job, but you don't, like you were just saying, you end up not liking the character by the end of it because of the shift throughout the movie. So, she's also in Chef with Favreau.
Steph just pointed that out.
I forgot she was in that movie, and I love that movie. That's a great movie.
I love that movie so fucking much. My favorite, like, the whole movie's great. I love the dynamic between Favreau and the kid playing his son. It's all about them exploring, and it's also just a great movie of food porn. But my favorite part of that whole movie is, now look, I will reiterate, and I can relate to this, what I'm about to say. Jon Favreau is not a bad looking guy.
No.
But he is portraying a heavy-set, bearded, balding chef dude covered in tattoos. He's supposed to be not conventionally attractive.
Sure.
He's got the dad bod.
He's got dad bod plus. I mean, this is, he's eating a lot. He's doing a lot of tasting as much as he's doing cooking. But my favorite part of it is that he's not thin and muscular and conventionally handsome, but he's got these fucking women flocking to him.
Yeah.
He's Sofia Vergara is like his ex-wife, and she still is pining over him. And Scarlett Johansson is Scarlett Jo fucking Hansen. And they're just sharing a joint outside, talking about the troubles. He's like, hey, why don't you come over tonight? She's like, oh, no, not tonight. He's like, look, I'll cook for you. She's like, oh, God damn it, fine.
Yeah, right.
And
Really?
it just shows, like, either pre-coitus or post-coitus, her in bed just kind of watching him, and he just cooks some fucking bomb-looking spaghetti for her. Like, spaghetti aioli.
Really quick, without spinning off too far, because I want to let Steph get to hers, unless you have more you want to say, but, like, or not she, but have you seen the spin-off show on Netflix of that?
Of the chef show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple episodes.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
It's another cooking show. It
didn't capture the spirit of the movie as much as I would have liked, but it's more of a reality show than a scripted thing, so that's probably why.
Jon Favreau with Roy Choi, who was the guy who trained Favreau how to cook. Yeah. And they're doing a whole cooking show, and they get, like, celebrity guests. Like, there was one with Seth Rogen I thought was pretty funny.
I didn't see it, but the one with Pepper Potts.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, it's supposed to be hysterical, because that's where she says to him, we were in Spider-Man together? That's where that happens on that show. Because you heard about that, right?
Oh. I just thought that was a joke. I didn't know that came from something.
No, it really happened. Like, he's discussing about how they were just on Spider-Man, and she's like, we were in Spider-Man together? But
that's just attributed to her as a character, just, like, not aware. Like, she's just so in her own universe. She's not aware. She's like, I've seen clips of, like, pictures of her in the armor in Endgame.
Yeah.
The red armor, going up to the other actresses and be like, so who are you? Who are you playing?
Wow. Well, I mean, there's also...
Yeah. That's interesting. We're in a Marvel movie. I wonder if that's connected. Like, that's what I think of when I think of Gwyneth Paltrow, just not fully aware what the fuck she's filming.
The last thing I'll say about Chef real quick, because I know we're more talking about Scarlett, but is... Rico, to me, and maybe this is something we need to discuss on another episode, but, like, that movie was the closest thing to a live-action Ratatouille in the essence of the movie that I've ever seen. Like, it's not the same story by a long shot, but the essence that you get from Ratatouille is the same essence you get in Chef, I think.
Yes, 100% agree. Not to mention, as a critic, they have to kind of, like, overcome, and it's all about finding themselves and their lineage. And it is very reminiscent and a spiritual. It's just as good as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed.
I will. I'll do you one better, because then we'll get back to Scarlett. What I liked about it was Favreau did it as a metaphor for his own career. He wanted to make a movie that was not a giant budget. He just wanted to go characters and story and not action and craziness. And I think I appreciate indie Favreau now more than ever, because I'll watch Swingers and I'm like, oh, that's a great movie. Or Made, oh, that's a good movie. But to see him branch out and be like, dude, he fucking gave, the guy who did Elf gave us Iron Man. They wouldn't have an MCU if it wasn't for Jon fucking Favreau.
Totally.
So to see him take a step back and be like, look, I'm not going to do Cowboys and Aliens 3 or 2 or where the fuck I'm making. I'm not going to make another Iron Man movie. I'm not going to make another Spider-Man 37. I'm going to go back to make a movie about a fucking dude cooking. And I was like, that's a great fucking idea. Because the cast is stellar. And Scarlett Johansson is not like, it's not the movie I'm going to think about for her, but every time she comes on, I'm like, fuck, dude, I get why she's in this movie.
Right, no, and because I kind of have to agree with you, Rico, on that, because until I saw it on her list, I forgot she was in it. I mean, and that's not a dig at her. I think what that is for me is there's so many other powerful actors and characters in that movie that she plays a lesser role, and so she kind of gets a little forgotten.
She has a lesser role. She's really only there to be the support, the friend that gets him started. That's
right.
You should be here. This is bad for you. She's that good friend that gives you that moral support, that shove in the right direction. Yeah. And that was her role, and she didn't need to be more than that.
I remembered her more in that movie than Robert Downey Jr. in that movie. And Robert Downey Jr. is really fucking funny in that movie.
He's in that movie? I didn't even realize he was in that movie. Yeah.
He played Sofia Vergara's other ex-husband, and he's the one who sells him the truck in the first place.
I feel like I need to go back and watch that movie again, because it's been a long time since I've seen it. Yeah.
What I did discover when I rewatched it was, like, go all the way through the credits. Apparently there's a scene where, like, they show how to make the best grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I remember that. Yeah. You know what
I
we need to do?
Dustin Hoffman from that movie more than anything.
All right. Come on.
Scarlett.
Well, no, go ahead, Steph.
All right, CG. Last thoughts on Scarlett.
I feel like, based on what we were talking about with her Marvel resume, that some of these other movies that we've been talking about that aren't Marvel get lost in the shuffle, and that she's a better actress or actor, whatever we're classifying her, than she gets credit for, I think. And that she deserves more credit than she gets. Not that she gets a lot of negative, because that's the other thing I'll say, is like, you don't hear a lot of negative. She just doesn't get the accolades or the praise that I think she deserves, you know.
All right, Rico.
I got one.
When you think of Scarlett Johansson in movies, what is your go-to outside of Marvel?
There's one I think of that I haven't finished, but I'm always like, I really should finish that movie. It's called Under the Skin, I want to say. And from what I understand, it's a very experimental, for her especially, film role, where it's sort of, she's an alien, and she inhabits like a woman's, Scarlett Johansson's body. And so she sort of like preys on men. And I really was like, I gotta give this a chance, because I like the concept of it. Mm-hmm. Because is Scarlett Johansson a talented actress? Yes. She's also fucking stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I really have it is no surprise to me that if an alien were to ever take the form of a woman to lure men to their deaths, it would be Scarlett Johansson.
I kind of have to agree. Do you remember, Rico, do you remember Men in Black 2 very well?
And how Lara Flynn Boyle did is that what you're leading to?
Well, yeah, because the creature lands and takes a human form and takes Lara Flynn Boyle. If they were making that movie now, I bet you it would be Scarlett Johansson.
Right. I mean, look, there's a reason why they keep putting Scarlett Johansson in Marvel movies. She's a great actress, but she also looks very good in leather.
Well, I was just gonna say something about that, Rico. Like, I think one of the reasons that, and I know we're trying to stay away from her Marvel career, but I think we would be doing her a little disjustice if we didn't mention it a little bit. And that is not just that she looks good in black tight outfits, but she is very diverse. And Black Widow, the character, needs to be diverse to be one of the world's best, assassin spies. And she does it very, very well. Like that. My favorite Scarlett Johansson scene in any of the Marvel movies is when she's in the first Avengers and the Russian guys have her tied to the chair and she's like, I'm getting everything I need from these guys, right. And then ultimately kicks their ass. Like that sequence is my hands down favorite sequence of hers in the entire MCU. And she's got a lot of good scenes, but that one right there, I think shows how diverse she can be right there. So.
I swear, Steph, we will stop talking about Marvel in one
Yeah,
second.
I felt
good point. It's very important because, like, for me, Scarlett Johansson wasn't, like, an actress I was paying attention to. She was like, oh, that's that woman from, The Prestige. Or, is that the woman from, like, The Island with Ewan McGregor? Like, I know I've seen her and shit, but, like, Black Widow and the, Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 has got a lot of faults. The best thing it did was made her Black Widow. Because she looks like the character. She kicks fucking ass in that movie. Like, to the point where, like Scarlett, I may be stronger than Scarlett Johansson. I would never want to fight her. She is the new Jennifer Garner. Like,
I would
argue,
though, Rico, that she really hit her stride of that character in that first Avengers movie.
I would agree, because the character in Black Widow is different. Not just in appearance. I think one of the things I didn't fucking love was they fucked with her hair in every goddamn movie.
Every movie.
Every fucking movie, to the point where I'm like, is this a camouflage?
It could have been.
But like,
could have been.
There's a whole point where she's first introduced. She is the greatest looking spy because Robert Downey Jr. or Tony Stark is gonna be staring at her ass the whole time, unaware that she's fucking like getting everything she wants out of him.
Mm-hmm.
So
I need one. If I recall, was his line talking about her? No, I think at one point he even says, "I need one." So
I want one.
Yeah.
And Gwyneth's like, no. The fact that like, you know, my favorite part of her introduction is where they're in the boxing ring.
And she kicks Happy's ass.
Yeah, and Favreau is like training, he's sparring with Tony Stark, and Happy's like, oh, I know how to fight it. And he's like, let me show you how to do this. And he's like, first rule, never take your eyes off the opponent. And he goes to like kind of tap her, and her back is turned, and she just instinctually grabs his arm and like knocks him on the ground and wraps her legs around his fucking neck and like fucks him up. And down, I love the best thing about it is Tony Stark's like not concerned at all for his friend.
Nope.
He's just like, oh, ding, 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 we have a winner. Like, yeah, I want one.
Yeah.
Like, that for me is my favorite part.
Yeah.
But would I like to see more of ScarJo? Absolutely. I will say I saw more than I initially thought I was going to get in Under the Skin. That was, I mean, the movie's intriguing, and I'm not trying to sound shallow, but it's like she's naked a lot in that fucking movie.
She is in Ghost in the Shell too, but it's very different.
No, but I mean, like it's she's naked, not just it's sheen machinery nakedness. It's like you see, but that's the whole point is that, and that's why she did it. From what I've read, is that she wanted to do something that was as raw of like, I'm not a human. Mm-hmm. I'm an alien, so I don't care about like, oh, I don't want people looking at my nakedness. She's not naked walking around on the streets, but like she, you know,
comfortable in her own
under her skin. Yes, essentially. And I need to rewatch it. I need to finish it.
All right, Rico. Last thoughts on Scarlet.
I want to see the new Black Widow movie. That honestly, it was a movie that should have been made 8 years ago. But I mean, of all the new Marvel movies that are coming out, yeah, all right, Moon Knight. Oh yeah, a Loki show, and oh fuck, She-Hulk. I want to see a Black Widow movie because she is an integral part of my pop culture, where I will always associate the character with that actress.
And to be fair, Steph, she earned the right to have that movie long before they gave it to her, and she deserves. What's that?
I'm not disputing you guys at all.
She's just trying to limit our Marvel vibe.
It's just you guys are pigeonholed her into Marvel, and she's much, much more than that.
Well, I think that's what we're saying. I think we're saying that she is much more.
That's like what? 10 minutes is like Marvel, Marvel, Marvel. It's like,
well, how much could I fucking say about Eight-Legged Freaks? It was really fascinating when the giant spider spun her in web. Okay, or how about Home Alone 3, where she played the older sister to the kid who's not Macaulay Culkin? Wow, what a breakthrough. Like, I'm sorry, but like, The Island was a good movie. It's the best Michael Bay movie that's not fucking destruction. But I only saw it twice. But like, unfortunately, she's not really picking out that many fucking roles that are not Marvel. That's the problem. She's got an extensive filmography, and 90% of it's fucking Marvel.
Calm the fuck down.
Sorry.
Motherfucker.
I'm trying to find another. Alright, Ghost World. I like Ghost World. That's another comic book movie that has nothing to do with comics.
Alright. So, what I was getting at is... my favorite Scarlett Johansson was The Horse Whisperer.
Never saw it.
And shame to you. You guys... Have you seen The Horse Whisperer?
Nope.
Is there a Black Widow in it? I'm so sorry.
So in The Horse Whisperer...
There's a Black Beauty.
She is a young woman who has a horse, was out horse riding with her friend. Mm-hmm. They cross this stretch of road, like a freeway type thing, because they're out in the country, so like all the roads are freeway-esque. And a semi-truck didn't see her to brake. So the semi-truck hits her while she's on her horse. And I think she like loses a bit of her leg. Like they have to cut it off at the knee. And her horse survives it. And so she's getting out of the hospital and they go to visit her horse and they're like, we should put this horse down. And Robert Redford's character is the horse whisperer and says, no, the horse can live through this. You both can live through this. You're bigger than this incident that happened. Mm-hmm. And it's a rehabilitation of both the person and the horse. And then there's another story going on between her mother and her father and the family dynamic outside of this trauma that happened.
I'll see it. It sounds interesting.
She is a young woman who's doing a performance that many adults can't do.
Really?
Yes.
It's that good.
I would say it's that good.
Okay. I'll see it. I will say that the darkness of my mind made me come up with a really fucked up joke. Where I was like, man, it's a good thing that, like, in this movie, the horses, like, weren't in control of everybody. Because if she lost her leg, the horse would just shotgun her. Just put her down. They're like, all right, we got it. Put it out of its misery.
Because, I mean, the horse gets really fucked up. I mean, it's got, like, flesh that's, like, hanging off. It has to do, like, real surgery just for the horse to be okay. Like, it was, yeah. Okay, you guys skimmed over the island.
Never saw it.
I really liked her in the island because she's a character who's not an action hero. She is a bystander who gets basically saved from becoming, well, you haven't seen it, so I won't. She basically gets saved from her fate. And I think she does a really good job of not doing the traditional action hero-esque moves. I mean, she just like is like, okay, so we're running now. And it's just like, oh, okay, so what does this mean now? And I don't know, it was a really good portrayal of innocence.
I would agree. Without revealing too much, because CJ, it is a movie you should see. It's very entertaining. It's both Ewan McGregor and her.
The Island? Is that the one you're talking about?
In the Island.
Are playing, how do I say it without ruining anything? They're playing very innocent beings.
Yeah, at the beginning of this film, we are given the impression that they are survivors of a radiation apocalypse of the Earth.
Right.
And that they're underground, and they're in this community that lives harmoniously through strict rules, and they stay where they are so that there's no contamination. But every so often, someone wins a lottery to go live on the island that's up on the surface that didn't get contaminated.
Ah.
And and if I remember, you can correct me, Steph, is that they don't have a memory. All they know is that they just remember waking up.
No, they have memories of their childhood, and they have memories of having to live in the bunker and having to live underground. They do have memories.
Okay.
Of what it was like pre-radiation apocalypse. Yeah, it's a good film, but we can't tell you like the other half that I want to tell you without ruining the plot.
It is kind of two halves that are radically different but make a decent movie.
Yes. We Bought a Zoo.
Never saw it.
So in We Bought a Zoo, she is a zookeeper, and she's able to help a family who has a loss. So the whole premise is that Matt Damon's character is a writer. He does writing for, I think a newspaper or a magazine, and he's an action guy, so he goes out on the field and gets the story, and then he comes back and he writes it. Well, his wife passes away, and so he now has to come to grips with having a teenage son and like a 9-year-old daughter. and raising them on his own. And so he has a midlife crisis in the way that because everywhere he looked throughout his house, throughout the entire, like the city and everything, he saw memories of his wife. And he's like, I can't do this. I'm going into this insane depression because everywhere I look, I see her.
Mm-hmm.
So he ups and just buys a zoo that's in disrepair and makes it his family's life's project to renovate the zoo and launch it. And she's the zookeeper that stayed from before when it was open and through this disarray to him now coming in. And she's like, you know nothing about zoos. What are you doing? And so she's picking up the pieces of not only the zoo, but what's happening with their family drama and helping them reconnect as a family.
I think I just don't like the title. I don't know.
Yeah, it has a very Marley and Me kind of feel to it.
The title "We Bought a Zoo" comes from the daughter.
We bought a zoo.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really cute and innocent when you hear it. It's nice. Yeah, and Sing. She was in Sing. She was the voice Ash. She was the one who was the punk rocker.
Yeah,
right.
I saw that movie once, and it was at work.
I saw it. I liked
fantastic.
it. We both liked it, actually. Deb and I both liked it. We watched that movie.
Oh, they're making us Sing too, actually.
She was Ka in the book.
She was... I like that she played Ka. I thought having Ka as a woman was great, but the whole movie was more or less unmemorable for me. But I liked her in it. I thought she was actually a highlight.
Well, that just goes back to the live-action money grab that Disney's been doing with, their animated movies.
Which, separate thing, Steph and I watched The Lion King.
Yeah.
The live-action Lion King.
Oh my god.
It's bad.
It's not
needed.
bad, it's just not needed.
Not needed at all. I must commend the people, I don't know their right title, but the artists who were able to make the animals as lifelike as they did. Mm-hmm. You have to pat their backs and be like, holy shit, dude. Like, wow. That was fantastic.
Just because a movie is not good doesn't mean the people that worked on it didn't do a good job. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
And so I want to shine a light on all of them. They did an amazing job of making it look real, lifelike. That was great.
Well,
the other side of that double-edged sword is that there was a lot less expression. You can't really furrow a brow of a cat that doesn't have eyebrows. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, like,
there's so much. There's a second half of the story that was not able to be told because they made it as lifelike as it was. So growing up, it wasn't needed.
And this week, and Rico, you and I will get into this in another episode sometime, but Disney Plus started this week. And one of the launch titles was Lady and the Tramp, the live action one. And yeah, I have no desire to watch that thing. But
I don't.
And I like Lady and the Tramp. Like the animated one I loved. It was one of my favorite cartoons as a kid, but I have no desire to see this live one. So
I am very curious of how the hell they're going to do like We Are Siamese without having the song We Are Siamese.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
So for me, last thoughts about Scarlett Johansson is that I really like her as an actress. I think that she can do so much more than action, so much more than what her body is selling her to do. And I hope that she doesn't get pigeonholed into being that action actress.
Well, yes, she can do more, but to be fair, Steph, if that's something she wants to be, then I don't think we should hold that against her either.
True enough. But, she has the capability of doing much more diversity.
For sure.
And I would hate to see her just be, a big reason why I didn't want to see Lucy was because it would be another action show. She was already doing action in Marvel. I was like, do I want to see this?
Lucy, though, is more of a techno... What's the word I want to use? Yes, there's action in it. Yes, there's some action scenes, but it's much more about the intelligence and her the abilities she acquires from what happens to her, and I don't mean like fighting abilities, like the knowledge.
I did see it, and it was good.
You did. Okay.
But at the time, I really had grappled on whether or not I was going to, because I was just
gotcha.
my friend from South Korea, she always makes fun of me. She's like, Stephanie, you have a short palate. Because, and that's our way of saying that you can't, you don't like things that stay the same too often. That I have to have things change.
Yeah.
Like, I can't eat the same meal 3 times in a row. Like, I have a short palate. So, and I get that way with movies too, like how you guys have commented about it. I'm oversaturated with Marvel, and I need to walk away for a while, which is why I haven't seen Captain Marvel yet. I just need to walk away so that I have the wonder of it again when I come back. At this point, I'm so like done. I'm just done.
Without getting into a whole thing, Steph, to be fair, that's, you know, unfortunately one of the weaker ones, and not because it has a woman as a star, but because I just don't feel like they did as much as they could have with it.
Well,
yeah,
because it was one of those where it had to be shoved in to fit.
It was rushed.
It wasn't built up to over many films. Like a lot of the other characters, so there were like hints of them in movies previous, and then they debuted. Or if the whole point, like with Spider-Man, was like he had his big debut of this action sequence, and then he got his thing a movie later, right? You know, and so they didn't have that opportunity, or they didn't think of it in time, or they didn't plan for it like they should have to do the same thing with her. There should have been Easter eggs. There should have been a picture of her in another movie. There should have been comments about it, even there, and everyone been like, well, what the fuck is that? And had the questions posed well in advance. That just didn't happen.
Agreed. If it was up to me, I would have, somewhere around Winter Soldier era, that's when you put a Captain Marvel movie. Or
yeah, and we've talked about it before, Rico. We don't need to rehash it tonight, but yeah.
But I wasn't on that.
But that's where you. That's also around where you should have put a fucking, Black Widow movie.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So, as a StephAskew episode, this was starkly different than what we had talked about possibly doing, but I think it was good, and we got to hear our movies that we like to watch and favorites of each of these different, very respected and well-known actors, and I think overall we did a good job of portraying them at their best.
And a ton of homework that we now have to do.
Yeah, and but also
you definitely see a lot more female actresses work.
Mm-hmm.
I would deeply recommend that you guys go and look at least at their IMDb best known fors and watch those. If you want more recommendations, I can give them to you.
Yeah, I'll deep dive into Meryl Streep. Wait a
minute. I also think it's something that, Rico, you and I don't talk enough about female actors, and it's not because we don't like female actors or we're not supportive of females in general, because I think we've had female fans give us lots of positive feedback about where we stand supporting women, but we don't talk enough about female actors. So this was good. The original plan was to narrow it down to one. I think it was better that we, spanned several over the last 2 hours or so.
And not to belittle that you guys are actively avoiding them, but the female actress, I mean. But Rico made a point. They are not portrayed enough in the genres that you guys typically go for, and that's largely at fault with the producers and the writers of the films that you guys normally watch. It's shameful, and in this specifically in this era where everyone can do so much more, there's really no excuse that this situation has happened.
Yeah.
The ultimate irony is that when there are unfortunately, a lot of male fans that get bent out of shape, when the studio does try to do like, all right, we're going to make Star Wars, we're going to reboot Star Wars, we're going to make the main character a woman. And a bunch of men, and I'm not going to single out just men. I mean, there is probably some women out there. There's assholes everywhere, men or women. They're going to be like, oh God, why are you trying to make why are you going to make a show, a Batwoman show? Why are you going to make Ray the main character? Why do we need a female James Bond? Why do we need this? And it's because, well, you can't complain about both things. There needs to be action movies or movies that are aimed for men with a woman protagonist that you can't complain about. So it's hard to, I think that's another reason why it was like well received, but didn't do financially well. I think people went and saw it. They're like, that was pretty, but they're trying to attract a demographic that is just kind of over it. I think young men especially, unfortunately, have that look of women as, they need to be in skin-tight outfits. They need to look like Catwoman. They need to have big breasts and big asses. And if they're going to be a badass, like in a video game adaptation, like Tomb Raider or something, then the story has to be good. But then they were like, well, the woman they cast as Tomb Raider wasn't Angelina Jolie. Her boobs aren't big enough. Like, young men are the worst fucking audience, unfortunately. You can find, if they're going to make a She-Hulk show, I think
it's a movie, Rico.
I thought it was going to be a show on Disney Plus.
I can't remember. Either way.
Either way, whoever they cast is going to get a ton of hate because they can get someone who, like, they can get Ronda Rousey, who can pack a punch and has been in movies. Not a great actress by any means, but it looks like she could throw a punch. Then you can get someone who looks the part, who is a great actress, like Rosario Dawson. I would rather see her as She-Hulk, but there's going to be someone who's going to be like, oh, she just doesn't look like she could be the Hulk. Okay, can we just remember that, like, this is not your fucking movie?
Well, I was meaning more of the lines of, like, normally when women are in movies, they're the sex object.
Yep.
Or they're that, just like in Chef, they're that moral support character that pushes the man to the direction he needs to be.
Sure.
And don't get me wrong, it's an admirable thing to have, but that really shouldn't be, like, there's really, like, three options. The sex object, the moral support pusher, or the love object, like, or the villain, I should say.
Right.
The villain.
I have one more counter, because we're going a whole other, like, topic, which is good. We should talk about this. This is the platform and the show to talk about it on.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's a Nerd.
And Nerdette.
From the Voice of Misery podcast. If you want a show that's about pretty much anything, it's a variety show about life, love, mental health, the pursuit of happiness, and a ton of different interviews going from Karen Parsons to Ava Devine and other various adult film stars or just random people on the street that I think are interesting. You should give us a shot. Voices of Misery podcast. Voicesofmisery.podbean.com. At Voices of Misery on Twitter. And Voices of Misery anywhere you can find your favorite podcast. Give us a shot if you're not easily offended.
But you haven't seen the movie Knocked Up, Steph.
Yeah.
With Seth Rogen.
I think I saw Knocked Up.
You did?
Yeah.
CJ, you seen it?
Once, and it was a while ago, so yeah.
I saw it with my sister a long time ago.
All right. I rewatched that movie recently, and I have a very different opinion of it than when I first watched it. When that movie came out, Katherine Heigl, who plays the
woman.
The title character, essentially, the woman who gets knocked up by Seth Rogen, her character is, up by 7, working. She works in the film. She works in the TV celebrity industry. She works on the E channel, interviewing celebrities. She gets knocked up by the schlubby Seth Rogen, and he's all fun. He's just a giant man child, and he blah blah blah. And how this straight and narrow shrew now has to deal with this schlubby, lovable, funny dude that in no way would they ever fucking get to know each other unless they were drunk. And then, now we're pregnant. Now we actually should get to know each other. When I first watched that movie, I was more progressive than other guys my age. But I did kind of look at her and all the women in that movie as the villains, the antagonists, the shrews, the I'm not having any fun. And I watch that movie now, I'm like, wow, she went on a limb for this fucking guy.
Yeah.
She's really...
What was that movie where the four guys go away on vacation, the girls go away on vacation, they end up at the same, like... No. Couples Retreat, that's what it was. That's the movie I'm thinking of. It's very similar, same thing. The women are very negatively portrayed in that movie. Like, Dev and I watched it, and I felt the same way. You want a positive one? Oh, Rico, I don't mean to interrupt. If you're not done your point, I'll let you go, because I do have a positive one I could recommend, but...
Well, my point is that Katherine Heigl, the actress, made a comment, and she said, as a woman, I find it a little sexist. I find the movie a little sexist. She has been, she was the it girl on TV. She was on, I think Grey's Anatomy or something. I don't know what the fuck she was on. She was on some medical show. And she was getting a lot of praise. Then she was getting movies. She was on, The Ugly Truth. She was in Knocked Up. She was starting to get some serious star power. Once she made that comment, she has been, ostracized. Mm-hmm. She is now the bitch of Hollywood. No one likes working with Katherine Heigl. She's such a bitch. She complains. She stabs the filmmakers that she works with in the back. No, dude, she was right. I hate to say it. I like Seth Rogen comedies, but she was right. The movie captures, when a woman is hysterical on screen, or when she's screaming or emotional, they call her hysterical. When a guy does it in a movie, he's Al Pacino. Right. It's really...
He's being assertive.
Yeah, he's being assertive. When a man raises his voice, he's being dominant. When a woman does it, she's on her period. Mm-hmm.
She's being emotional.
She's
being emotional. Can't control herself.
I now have I still laugh at the movie, but I have a whole new side of looking at him first off, he should be fucking grateful that, she's still giving him the time of day.
Right. Giving him a chance.
Unfortunately, in this real world, it would have been a fucking 10-minute movie where she's like, I'm pregnant? Fuck that guy, I'm getting an abortion.
Right.
But I don't mean to go on a fucking tangent about it, but it's important because...
It is.
When did Iron Man 2 come out? 2009? I was 18. When I watched that movie, I was looking at Scarlett Johansson a very different way. Because they put her in this leather outfit. She's very attractive, and I've talked about her naked body, and she's very attractive. But she's posing where, she's... remember that scene in the opening scene of the jail heist of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? Where the jewel thieves are, in leather, and they're, bent over and, looking at the camera over their asses? Mm-hmm. Scarlett Johansson was doing that. And I'm like, I get it. Jon Favreau... And the thing is, she gets it. She knows, okay, we got to appeal to a demographic.
But to be fair, if you notice, because there was a lot of uproar about that after Iron Man 2, and they didn't do it again with her. She still wore the tight leather, but it wasn't as revealing, for one, because it used to be, there was cleavage. Later on, it was, zipped up to her neck. It was still skin fucking tight, so you still got a good look at what she looked like. Not that that's, a thing, but so it still showed off her sexiness without, being revealing. And then they stopped all the posing stuff and just let her be a badass. And, so the good news is they caught it. Whether it was, I don't know if it's from external uproar or just someone internal went, you know what, let's not do that again. But, The
only time they do it, in posters.
Well, yeah, but that's... not that it makes it necessarily right, but that's a poster versus, multiple shots throughout the fucking movie or throughout a sequence, so...
I could talk about it for another hour, so we should really...
Yeah. This is a topic, but I just want to give you guys the credit you are due, that it's not necessarily your fault that you haven't seen these women in movies. It's just that the genres that you normally go for don't necessarily have them. And I had made a comment earlier in the episode that there's a lot of movies that I saw with these women that I wouldn't have normally gone for. Sure. But I was exposed to them, and I'm grateful that I have been because I watched a genre that I normally wouldn't.
Well, and here's a recommendation for a very we don't need to get into details of the movie, and if you want information about it, Steph and or Rico, I'll tell you about it off air, but there's a movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones called No Reservations, where she plays a very strong women character. So so it sounds like you guys have seen that movie, but that's...
No, I know of it.
I have seen it several times. It's a very good movie.
It looks like forgive me, it looks like a woman chef.
No, it really is, but it's
her chef, and her sister and her.
Well, Steph, don't just let him see it. But
have her be the godparent.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then she has to deal with the fact that she lost her sister and is now a godparent.
Okay. So the food is really not as important.
It is important because it is her career.
Okay.
Yeah, the dynamic between the kid and her are very similar to the dynamic between Favreau and his son. The difference is that it's not a son. Like, while there's still the mother-son because of the godmother thing, it's not her kid. So she has to learn. Yeah.
It's not her daughter per se, but they grow as they have a bonding relationship.
Right.
With them.
The cover, because I've seen the DVD cover, and I think we could also, I think we're selling that as well. If it's there, I'll buy it. Fuck it.
Definitely.
I own it. That's how much I like that movie. So,
but if I remember correctly, the poster gives off a very other perception. It looks like Catherine Zeta-Jones and Aaron Eckhart are forced to work together in the kitchen and they fall in love. That's what that movie looks like.
Well,
it is that. But it's much more than that.
It's deeper than the picture gives off.
That is only the surface of the story.
Yeah.
But that's a frequent thing with movies that are quote unquote aimed for women. Is like guys will enjoy more quote unquote women movies if they just stop looking at the poster. Because this movie sounds intriguing, but like if I saw a poster where it's like Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, I'm like, this is a fucking love story. And then you're like, no, dude. Like
so much more than that. That's only a part of it.
I'm making up a movie right now.
Okay.
Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks, and it's called like, must be 7-Eleven, okay, or something. It doesn't matter. You're gonna think, okay, that's a fucking lovey-dovey romance movie. Turns out, no, dude. His brother was a murderer and killed her ex-husband. And then you're like, what the fuck is it? What?
And then there's an appeals court, and that's where they meet.
And aliens come down and butt fuck everybody, and then you're like, this movie sounds awesome. What's this called again? Why is it called that? And why is the poster of them with a giant heart around them? The fuck is this? Men would appreciate more quote unquote romantic comedies if it wasn't looking like a romantic comedy.
It's not a comedy.
But No Reservations looks like
it's not a comedy at all.
But it looks like a romantic comedy. The poster is literally like her like a bowl and like holding a wooden spoon, looking like she's mixing, and she's looking over her shoulder at him, and he's doing the exact same thing to her. Mm-hmm. That looks like when Harry Met Sally.
It looks like rom-com, but it's not. And that movie is by no degree a comedy.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, there are comedic elements, but yeah.
All you're saying is that the advertisers, excuse me, they already appeal to a certain demographic look and can alienate people from reaching out to a movie that they may have liked if it didn't look like something that they wouldn't.
Well, Steph, this is your episode. How do you want to end this?
I want to end it by thanking you guys for going through this with me and realizing how starkly different we watch movies. Mm-hmm. And by being able to appreciate the actors, these actresses, scope of expertise.
You make up your mind? I thought it was actors.
Well, they are actors, but these actresses that we were talking about primarily.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
CJ here with a few thank yous and to let you know how you can get in touch with and follow the show and us. Listen to us on the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else you find your podcasts. Please don't forget to rate and comment. PodAskew is a member of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Visit their website, bigheadsmedia.com, and follow them on Twitter at bigheadsmedia. If you want to agree with or yell at us, follow Rico, me, and the show on Twitter. The show is at PodAskew, Rico is at RantsRico, and I'm at M_Blade. We want to thank logo designer and show friend Mike for his work on our wonderful logo. You can contact him for artwork via email at logomike80@gmail.com. That's logomike80@gmail.com. Thank you to Samuel Lemons for our closing music theme, Askew. You can find Sam on Twitter at Samuel Lemons and his music on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Samuel-Lemons. Finally, our biggest thank you is to you, everyone, for listening. Rico and I really appreciate your time and look forward to bringing you another episode soon.
PodAskew.